Hear ye, hear ye. Hear ye. Spoilers. Spoilers all. Let's just get that right out of the way. This is going to be fire and blood spoilers all the way. You'll see we'll even have a little graphic for it on the screen. It'll be up the whole time so everyone will know. Poor Grey Waste Tim will be off the chain today. It will be Grey Waste Tim unchained. Full fire and blood spoilers, just blurting them out, reveling in the text. That's what we're doing today. We're talking about what's coming up next season. And here we are, the usual suspects.
Hi, everybody.
Nope, that's not the right frame.
Hi, everyone.
This one. Oh, now we have two frames. This is worse. Hold on. A frame within a frame. There we go.
Someone said no spoilers, please.
No, this is spoilers. You can check out all the other House of the Dragon streams that we did where poor Tim is like...
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Tim, we love you. This is our all of my chat focused through me, putting our arms around you. We love you, Tim. You are a treasure. And we love you too, Girl Nettles. And we love Tim's cat. Which cat is this, Tim?
This is Dagon. And he is the most elusive. He's the one we see the least often because he likes to hide.
Those Greyjoys are elusive, like Dalton Greyjoy. You know, I think we heard his name this season once or twice. I was looking at Fire and Blood yesterday, and there's this guy named Dalton Greyjoy in the story. So that's a thing that we'll talk about.
Dalton should get his own movie, like a side movie.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry, I thought I was muted, guys. In any case, yes, we are here to do season 3 preview and predictions. And so here's the format. We're going to go over real quickly the summary of the next couple of big events that are coming, just so we're familiar with what's coming down the pipe to be adapted. Then we're going to go character by character, and I've listed the 3 or 4 main things that they're going to do, and then we're going to talk. And then I've posed some discussion questions. How does Rhaenyra's newfound faith, how will it affect her view of, spoiler alert, when her son Jacaerys dies, as he will at the Battle of the Gullet? Spoilers. Spoiler warning. Here we are. Jace has only a couple episodes left. That's right. So, anyways, these are the kinds of things we will discuss. We will discuss, Hugh Hammer and the Greens and all that stuff. So we're here to basically think about how the next section is going to get adapted given what we know of the characters. So it's very much a cross-section of the established show versions of the characters, but informed by, what the writers will be plowing into next. So I think it'll be a fun discussion. And, yeah. Welcome.
I already have a question. I have a question for you two, and of course for the chat, because you guys are smart and awesome. But I don't want you to answer it now. I want you to answer it like towards the end of the stream. And my question is there something that you felt about this season that we saw? And it could be something that's like a difference from book to show, like a change that actually changed your mind. Like either changed your mind about the character or you thought that they did it better in the show. And I don't want your answer now. I want.
Why? Why would you pose the question and then tell us not to answer?
Because we're about to have an awesome discussion and break stuff down, and someone might remind you of something that you forgot, or we might change each other's mind right now. So.
I mean, I think there's loads of things that are more interesting because Fire and Blood is so threadbare. I mean, Helena's not even a person. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Interesting. Changed your mind.
I don't know what you mean by change.
Like, let's say, like you thought that Rhaenyra was the good guy, and then this season you realize that she's the villain, like something like that.
Yeah, I mean, are you talking about like from when we read Fire and Blood or from season 1?
From season 2. Like in season 2, but yeah, obviously like changes from Fire and Blood. So yeah, Fire and Blood.
Okay, I think I understand what you're saying. Gotcha.
Yeah?
Well, I mean, I definitely, like I said, I think a lot of things have really come to life. I don't really even understand being attached to Fire and Blood because it's so threadbare. So, like, I kind of don't, like, a lot of people are, yeah, I don't know.
I
I
get what
know.
you're saying. A lot of people are like, it has to be exactly like the book. Like, I get that. But yeah,
Well, so
I'll.
for example, the very first event that I was going to talk about is something that's already happened but didn't happen the same way and has something left over. So, for example, the dragon seeds. We saw this on the show. However, right when Adam claims sea smoke is when Corlys asks Rhaenyra to legitimize Alan and Adam. And on the show, it's totally different, right?
Yeah.
There's a distance, and it's the last thing Corlys wants to do is acknowledge that they're his sons. So this is one of the things that I was going to discuss with Corlys and Adam and all that. But yeah, this is exactly the kind of topic that we're going to get into. Is talking about how these differences are going to play out. So
Okay.
that is one that is hanging.
Yeah, you're right. I see what you're saying. There's just too many to just pick one. So I pose my question for maybe at the end of every topic.
I mean,
We
if you have
discuss.
something, just blurt it out. Like if you have something that like strikes you that way, just go ahead and say it. I would say, you know.
No, I wanted to wait.
No, I mean when it seems
Yeah, yeah,
appropriate.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh. When it happens, yeah.
Thank you, Nettles. Okay. So the Battle of the Gullet is the first major thing that is going to get worked with here. And by the way, you can send in definitely questions as far as like any questions you have about season 3. There's lots of things to ask. So, I mean, I expect you guys will have some questions. Upload audio of my videos on Podimo. I haven't heard of Podimo, but I'll get my non-existent social media manager right on that. So, and yes, you can see the spoilers. It's a spoiler stream because of the way that it is with the little. It's down here. It's Nettles point down for me. Yes, right there. Spoilers. Thank you. So the Battle of the Gullet, Tim, is the thing that was cut. It was going to be in the last 2 episodes. So we know this is coming right away. This is essentially the Triarchy. We've seen Lannister, Tyland Lannister, Master of Ships, went over and mud wrestled for the support of the free companies or whatever, the Triarchy. And they hate Corlys and don't actually need much invitation to come and fight Corlys's fleet. They are still remembering the Stepstones War. And so basically the Battle of the Gullet is the battle between Corlys's fleet and the Triarchy. And it unfolds in a couple of stages. So first, this involves the ship, the Gay Abandon, that has Rhaenyra and Daemon's 2 sons, Viserys and Aegon the Younger, on there. And Rhaena was supposed to be on there in the show, but she's running up those hills instead, as we know. We'll talk about whether or not she's going to be in trouble for being a bad babysitter in a minute. But the first thing that happens is that this ship is intercepted by the Triarchy. And they take Viserys prisoner. Aegon escapes on Stormcloud. In the show, Stormcloud is too small to fly. So this, not sure, we'll talk about that. That could be different. But essentially, after that happens, Jacaerys on Vermax, followed by the other dragon seeds, attacks the fleet. And this, of course, is where Jacaerys dies. Vermax is caught in the rigging of a ship, etc., etc. Jacaerys leaps free and is pierced by quarrels. Sounds very dramatic. And then the thing I kind of forgot about, the Triarchy sacks Spice Town and burns High Tide and all Corlys's treasures. So they've done a good job of building all that. It's all going to be destroyed. Corlys is going to be just... And of course, men, women, and children are killed and atrocities are committed and all that stuff. So the Triarchy gets its revenge. And but they lose. That's the thing, is that they do lose. Corlys Velaryon's fleet is successful with the help of all the dragons, but heavy losses, including Jacaerys. So this is one of the main things that is coming up next.
Yeah, so we talked a lot last week when we were doing the season 2 recap of we acknowledge that it was supposed to be 10 episodes. They got cut to 8. HBO pulled a major jerk butthole move by letting them write for 10 episodes and then telling them at the last minute, like a month before filming, oh, you need to cut it down to 8. And then the writer's strike happened, which prevented rewrites. But another thing that I was thinking on is another reason why season 2 might have felt a bit drug out was if they're holding out for a bigger budget for season 3. Because at this point in the story, right, a lot of things happen in a very, very short amount of time. Like, this is the point of this is all out war. And if they want to do this justice, they're going to have to do season 3 should have a number of big events if they want to do it justice. But with the way HBO and Warner Discovery, specifically Zaslav, has been so stingy with the money, like, the Battle of the Gullet is described as the biggest, bloodiest sea battle in recorded history. To film something like that, you need money. So I'm hoping, season 3, like HBO, you need to quit being cheap. Like, they need a budget for like 2 seasons to do this justice.
Well, Tim, I don't know if you've read any of the news about our friend Mr. Zaslav, but it's not so much that he's stingy with money as that he is not making good choices, which result in money being set on fire. And so there's less of it. But hopefully, yeah, we did get into that a little more last week. It's worth bringing up. We won't belabor it, but basically, yeah, I mean, we'll assume that they're going to do season 3 with full House of the Dragon budget, and that won't be the thing that they'll cut. Or it could be even that HBO gets separated out and sold off out of all this mess. I mean, everything's up in the air. But again, there's a lot to talk about. I'm not a media expert, so there are podcasts you can listen to if you want all the details on that. But yes,
but so
it is
talking about.
So this is what I was saying. The Triarchy loses, and Corlys wins, but the losses are so heavy even in the wins. So to your point, Tim, it is just the bloodiest battle. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, but actually talking about, so that's, talking on the filming and financial end of things, which is neither here nor there. We can only hope that HBO gets a little bit smarter with the financial situation before filming starts for season 3, because they need a budget. They need a budget to make all of this work. If we were going to get Battle of the Gullet, Honeywine, Fish Feed, and taking your King's Landing, and I'm not sure, I don't even know where they might end it. I guess it all because we're under the impression that they want to do 4 seasons, correct?
Yes.
So I guess it depends on whether or not they want to keep Matt Smith for all 4 of those seasons, whether on what the climax of season 3 might be. So I guess I'm asking is, like, what do you think the cutoff point is so that we don't go spoiling season 4?
Well, so I thought about that. I mean, I think it'll be somewhere with Rhaenyra in King's Landing. I think maybe like one of the Tumbletons, something like that. I was going to actually sort of pose that question to you after we get a couple of more events ahead. Because, yeah, I'm not sure exactly where, but before the God's Eye, before Rhaenyra leaves King's Landing.
Yeah. Because I would think they'd want to keep Matt Smith for all 4 seasons. So I guess
God's Eye will be season 4.
Season finale. Although I won't complain if that's the season finale. That's a great way to end it. But yeah. But talking the Battle of the Gullet. So you brought up. So yeah, we got our introduction to Shikaro Lohar, and in season 1, I've talked about how Rhaenyra because there have been references made, like Dalton Greyjoy has been referred to. We haven't seen him. Rhaenyra also makes reference to another Triarchy member we've yet to see, Ricalio Rendoon, where he talks about the giant Tyroshi who dyes his beard purple. Now, I've seen some who are saying that they might have merged Shikaro Lohar and Ricalio Rendoon into one person. And that is possible, but at the same time, I'm also like, I kind of hope not, but I could see why they would do that. Yeah.
I definitely did that in my head when I read Fire. I was like, yeah, pirates. Flamboyant pirates with strange names. 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. Also, in the books, it's Ricalio that does the mud wrestling and has his wives go and sleep with Alan. Because that's Ricalio's storyline in the books, and like we just saw that. So I think they are merging them.
It was funny to give that to Thailand. I liked that. Go ahead.
Yeah, Ricalio Recalio also buddies up with Daemon. And so that's why I said, like, the fact that Laenor referred to him back in season 1 makes me hold out hope. But the other thing I was going to say is because Shikaro Lohar in the book doesn't have much of a personality. He's he's part of this triarchy. He's an admiral. He's he's Lyseni. He is the captain of the Lysene Navy. And the big thing that he does is here in the Battle of the Gullet is he is the main admiral, but he sends the Mirish and the Tyroshi ships in first, and he holds the Lyseni ships back. So when the battle is over, the majority of the ships that come out unscathed are his ships, they're Lyseni ships. And this causes a big fracture in the Triarchy, because the Triarchy has never been like a cohesive allyship. It's always been one guy waiting to stab the other two in the back at a moment's notice. Like the Triarchy, and we see that too with the way Thailand had to negotiate with them. They're like foreign phrase. They ask for too much and do too little to receive it. But going on that, it's possible that they might have, but also with Recalio Rendune, pansexual purple pirate, this guy, Recalio Rendune doesn't just lead the parade, he is the parade. So I could see them looking at Recalio Rendune and saying, this is too much for one person. We need to move this energy around, and that's why maybe they gave him some of his qualities to Lohar to flesh Lohar out, because in the book, Lohar is just he's just a ladder climber trying to make his way up, and there's really nothing else to say.
A couple of notes here, Tim. Pansexual Purple Pirate is I think that's an album by, is it like Devo, or I'm not sure, but that's definitely an album by somebody. And let's see, I do think the options are open to pull out this other character or not as needed, but it's more a question of how crazy they're going on. No, somebody's like, no, that's goals. I mean, I think we'll get a pretty big naval battle. And in particular, the emotional beat here, besides Jace's death, is the sacking of Driftmark. Like, this obviously, they'll probably combine High Tide and Driftmark into one, sacking and burning, whatever. But, like, the point is, Corlys's precious castle that he built with his hands is going to get burned, and there will be atrocities committed. And this has got to be, like, because the next thing for Corlys is after they take King's Landing, eventually Rhaenyra turns on Adam. And then, of course, we know Corlys warns Adam so he doesn't get arrested, and then gets arrested himself. So this we have to remember all the losses that he has suffered. His children, Rhaenys.
Brother, cousin, mother, father.
Yeah. So,
everybody.
And then please, if you're watching, hit the like button. I always forget to say that. But let's
do that.
Get those likes up so that the stream will be seen by more people. Let me get more people into the chat so I can ban them. I mean, read their comments.
Yeah.
So do you think
that is right,
though,
like,
episode...
between I'll say, like, between Lohar, possibly Recalio, and then of course Dalton Greyjoy, who we've been name dropped a couple times, there's a lot of pirates that are coming, and HBO's already has a major piracy problem and a major leak problem that they need to plug both of those.
Do you guys think it'll be episode 1? Everyone was waiting for Blood and Cheese, and they gave us Blood and Cheese episode 1. Do you think they'll give us Gullet episode 1 just to be like, y'all complain too much, here you go?
Yeah, I don't think they need, I mean, it's pretty much ready to go. So, and we'll talk, there's ready to be a fight in the Riverlands too, which we'll talk about. But Battle of the Honeywine is next on the list. So Ormond Hightower is bringing the Hightower army up from Old Town, but he is stuck between armies that are loyal to Rhaenyra, of House Rowan, Golden Grove, Bitterbridge, a bunch of Beesbury, Tarley. None of these are people that we know, but they're Reach houses loyal to Rhaenyra. And so Hightower is penned in, and that's when Prince Daeron and Tessarion show up. Dun, da, da, da. And we've seen that, like, in the preview for next season, I think. No. We saw it. I guess we saw Tessarion flying with that army last episode. That's what I'm thinking of. So that will be that's what they're building up to, is the Battle of the Honeywine. And Daron turns the tide. He is knighted and named Daron the Daring after that. So we'll get some sort of grand introduction to that character, who is right now just a name, So then we have the Red Fork and the Fish Feed. So this is sort of a two-step battle here. Oh, I think I finally got it. Sorry, guys. I had a little squisher in my throat. So Wallace Mooton retook Rook's Rest, but died attempting to kill the wounded Sunfire. We'll talk about Sunfire in a minute. When some of his men returned, Sunfire had disappeared. They found no tracks suggesting that Sunfire had taken wing again. And of course, we know that Sunfire did fly to Dragonstone and will be important later in the plot. But that's not something we're going to see next season. We might see Aegon and Sunfire reunite, but we won't see the big, Sunfire's last fight or whatever.
So you agree Sunfire's definitely alive. Doesn't matter what Aegon says. Aegon doesn't know anything.
I think so.
Yeah. Sunfire's alive. He's just grounded. He's not going to... He can't fly. He's a land lizard, but he's a giant land lizard who can breathe fire.
So while the North assembled forces, Prince Aemon believed Daemon and his host at Harrenhal to be the real danger. So this is the main thing here. Aemon and Criston Cole rode from King's Landing with a host of 4,000 and Vhagar into the Riverlands. We have already seen all the Greens are flying from King's Landing. Everybody's leaving because they can see what's coming. We're outnumbered in dragons. Aemon is unstable. Alicent wants nothing to do with her children that have penises. All of them are dead to her. And so, everyone's leaving. And this is what's going to happen next is Criston Cole and his army and Aemon are going to leave King's Landing too. And that's essentially the green power on the move. That and the Hightower army down in the Reach. So they marched towards Old Town. And Daemon knew of their plans before Aemon had left the capital, however, and so he cackled, and he steepled his fingers, and hastened south on Caraxes, staying well away from Criston's line of march. So Aemon and Criston found Harrenhal abandoned after a 19-day march, and thought everything was sweet, but that was dumb. An army of Greens from the Westerlands, and that's the army of Jason Lannister that we've seen on the show, that's almost at Harrenhal as of the last episode, defeated the Western River Lords in the battle at the Red Fork early in 130. So this would be essentially Daemon's going to leave Harrenhal, and that army of Riverlanders is going to fight that Lannister army. And the Lannister army is victorious, but always the same story here. Jason Lannister was mortally wounded by Pate of Longleaf, who became known as Pate the Lion Slayer. And Adrian Tarbeck, another lord, was slain. Humphrey Lefford took command of the host, which then marched east with the intention of joining Criston and Aemon. So then at the western shores of the God's Eye, that remaining force of Lannisters and Westermen, they ran into Dustin and the Winter Wolves, all those old Northerners and Greybeards coming south. We've already seen they crossed the Twins. They're going to run into this Westerman host. So Roderick Dustin combined his host with Forest Frey and Red Rod Rivers at the Twins, and then Pate the Lion Slayer and some of the remnants of the Riverlander hosts join up with him. And some more Riverlander hosts come out, Blackwood, Charlton, Grey, whatever. And they shoot down Lefford's Raven so he can't call for help. And then they begin the battle. This is the bloodiest land battle of the dance. Hundreds died that day in the battle by the lakeshore, which became known as the Fish Feed. And it completely destroyed the Lannister army.
Yep. This is our introductions to Roddy the Ruin, Rowdy Roddy Dustin, and our introduction to Benjicott Blackwood, Bloody Ben. So that should be a big one.
I imagine this looking something like the Battle of the Bastards, as far as showing the horrors of war. And how many creative ways can we make people die?
We get the bloodiest sea battle and the bloodiest land battle, pretty much one right after the other.
Yeah. Especially that scene in the Battle of the Bastards where the Boltons have circled Jon and the men, and they're just like pushing them into the direction that they want. Like this is the type of stuff like I can't wait to see. Like when you're in between a rock and a hard place, like what do you? Well, there's nothing to do. That's why it's the fish feed. Like you just die. You can try to fight if you want, but you're fish feed.
Yes.
Can't wait.
I think it'll be
Jack-
kind of like reverse D-Day, like, where they're landing on the beach and fighting their way up the beach. It's basically the backwards of that, where these people are being pressed back into the lake, which is just drinking in all the blood. And if you think about it, since they've played up the Harrenhal blood sacrifice thing so much, like we might see some Cernunnos on the shore of the God's Eye, like clapping as all the blood is like, or maybe they're in the water. So we see some little antlers poking up, like collecting the corpses. Who knows? But they're definitely playing up this idea of blood sacrifice to the old gods, sort of happening accidentally. Blackwood was beheaded there at Harrenhal. So the fish feed, this should be, I hope they don't skip this one and just show us the end of it. Like they need to give us some of that claustrophobic, again, kind of like the Battle of the Bastards feel of these people being pushed back into the water and slaughtered. And yeah. So
You just made me think of the name fish feed. Who are the fish? It's the Tullys. So if it's the fish feed, like this blood sacrifice might specifically be going to the Tullys, that this will strengthen their house for generations to come.
you got to keep old man Hoster alive somehow. So that's the fish feed, and there's another battle that follows after, and I guess we'll get to that. So the fall of King's Landing. The death of Jacaerys filled Rhaenyra with anger and hatred, and she decided to use her dragons. With Criston Cole, Aemond, and Vhagar away from King's Landing, Daemon, Targaryen, and Caraxes joined with Rhaenyra on Syrax above the capital. So basically, Daemon eludes Aemond and his army, flies to King's Landing, and Rhaenyra and all the dragon seeds meet. Corlys sails his ships into Blackwater Bay. They take King's Landing pretty much bloodlessly, in part because there's gold cloaks still loyal to Daemon. Right, Tim? Such as Luther Largent.
There's a little bit of blood because Luther Largent will kill Gwaine. He kills, well, in the book, I don't know how they're going to do this in the show because Gwaine Hightower has been traveling with Criston Cole, but if they leave Gwaine back in King's Landing, yeah, Luther Largent is the one who kills Gwaine Hightower. And then he says that line, like, Daemon gave us these cloaks and they're gold no matter how you turn them. And that, yeah, the gold, we get to see, like, just how many gold cloaks are still loyal to Daemon. It's pretty much nearly all of them. So yeah, that's how they're able to take King's Landing, is the gold cloaks handing it to them.
Well, on the show now, it's going to be Alicent. See, Alicent made that deal. So she's going to sneak around and kill all the guards with a knife. No, I'm kidding. We're not. Now, the thing is, in Fire and Blood, Gwaine Hightower is second in command of the Watch. And he was put there to keep an eye on Luther Largent, who is the Lord Commander of the Watch. But the Greens don't trust him because he was there from Daemon's time. And so Gwaine is there. So this is all different. So I suspect, Tim, that Gwaine will not be killed by Luther Largent and that his story will end with Criston Cole and that handkerchief, as they are clearly setting up. I've got jokes ready for that. So just, it's coming. It's Chekhov's handkerchief. It must be blown.
Yeah, I guess it depends on whether or not Gwaine continues on with Criston Cole, or if at some point in season 3 there's going to be a let's split up gang moment, and Gwaine and Gwaine stays back in King's Landing while Criston continues on.
They could do that
with Daemon. That they could write it like that, but
Nettles,
I think it'd be more interesting to have Gwaine go to Harrenhal with those two.
I think so too. Yeah, and Nettles, I will just say, while discussing the Chekhov's handkerchief with Maynard Plum last night, he made several jokes which I cannot repeat on the air, which I think you would appreciate, about just what sense Alicent may have left on the handkerchief for Criston Cole.
Oh my gosh. I am enjoying those jokes right now.
I just wanted to feed the chat some red meat there. So
He sniffs that handkerchief every day.
Okay, sorry. All right. Shut it down. Shut it down.
I'm just saying.
I was like, I
That's
can't
what
repeat
made
the
Gwen
joke, so
mad.
let me tell you the joke.
I'm just saying, Gwen unsheathed steel to Kristen. Like he had
He's
a
sensitive
reason.
about it. Yeah. Yeah.
It had to be a
So-
big thing.
Yeah. So, moving right along, we've got, let's see, what do we got here? Fall of King's Landing. Larry Strong has fled. We already saw that. Is Maelor just going to be cut out altogether?
I'm not sure, because what's the point of having Rickard Thorne? Was he just there to go on that camping trip with Alicent?
Yeah.
It's like a...
Mailer doesn't have time to be born.
Yeah, because they would have to set it up
Helena
that...
could be pregnant right now. Helena could be pregnant
Yeah,
right
they'd have
now.
Yeah,
And
they would have had to set it up that Helena's been pregnant this whole time, and they'd never... And just like how they never mentioned Daeron until now, they've never mentioned that Helena is preggers, which is like, okay, how many things are just... How many important things are we just going to let slip by us in the dialogue?
No, I'm just saying, even if she was pregnant right now and gave birth episode 1, Mailer wouldn't be old enough to be doing whatever he needs to
Yeah,
do.
and it's kind of just like... I was just going to say, it's just another atrocity. I don't know that it really needs to be there, you know? So.
But see, that makes me... But then that brings up, like, why bother casting Rickard Thorne? Why would you cut more important characters like possibly Nettles, like possibly Recalio, but cast this...
I got one.
do-nothing Kingsguard?
So maybe he'll be the one that gets killed by Largent.
Could be.
And they'll give that line about, the cloaks. Because that's a really good line. They do need to do that scene, you know.
You know what? That just made me think of one of my answering my own question. Something I liked better in the show than in the books. I did not like Blood and Cheese better in the show, but the Maelor thing is what I liked about it is that Maelor not being there means that Aegon's only heir is a girl. So he's in the same predicament as Viserys. And Aegon can't make any more children. He told us that. But
Right.
So that's literally the only issue from his body is a little girl. So I think that'd be fun for him to wrestle with.
Except for his bastards. So if they want, they could really get interesting there and mess around with Aegon thinking about, oh, actually, I do have children. Those bastards that I didn't care about. Almost like Corlys, where he didn't care about his bastards until he needed them. What's that?
That'll make him like Rhaenyra.
Exactly. Which would be interesting.
Okay, so I guess that brings up season 3. Do you think we're going to get the Moon of the Three Kings on the Three Hills?
No, that's after Rhaenyra leaves King's Landing. So that would be season 4. Dragon Pit, Moon of Three Kings. Yeah, season 4 is going to be crazy. God's Eye.
But yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So that's why I don't mind Maelor.
So let's see here. Rhaenyra takes her place on the throne. Alicent is spared. Otto is beheaded. And by spared, we mean imprisoned. Otto is beheaded. Jasper Wilde is beheaded. Tywin Lannister given to the torturers in hopes of regaining some of the gold he's hidden. And you'll notice these characters have been built up in the small council. Those are the people we know. Tywin Lannister, mud wrestler extraordinaire. Jasper Wilde, who's got kind of a nice clothes and a smirk. And of course, Otto and Alicent. So,
yeah, because that's one of these running things is always how when each side thinks they advance, they always have like this 1 step forward, 2 steps back type thing. And that is with Rhaenyra is, she'll take King's Landing, but there's no money because they move like all the money to their the Greens move all the money to the offshore accounts, basically. So that becomes, yep.
Yeah, Maynard pointed that out too. They're doing a good job of like showing us how the people that move the money are important. Like Laurie's smuggled it out of Harrenhal, and this will be an issue again when Rhaenyra takes King's Landing and all the gold is gone. She'll have inherited a bad situation. So they're
they move it to the Iron Bank, so it literally is an offshore account.
Yeah, and the crown owes the small folk quite a bit. Hugh was never paid. So if Hugh wasn't paid, that means I don't think the cooks are paid, or the washerwomen. Like, the blacksmiths are pretty. You would pay them first. So if you're not paying them, everyone underneath them isn't being paid.
So I just want to point out that my autocorrect also changed TYLAN Thailand to Thailand, the country.
The country?
Oh my god!
Yeah, they got John Haymaker here. You gotta tell it bad autocorrect a couple times. And by the way, we'll go through the super chats as soon as I'm done with this summary. We're almost through here. So let's see. Otto's beheaded, torturing. Princes Joffrey and Aegon the Younger are called to King's Landing. And we'll go back to talk about the whole Aegon Stormcloud thing in a second. I just want to get through the summary so we know what we're dealing with. Aemond and Criston at Harrenhal couldn't agree on what to do. Criston wanted to withdraw south to join with the Hightower army and Daeron so that all the forces are in the same place. Aemond wanted to attack King's Landing because he's mad, basically. He got fooled, kind of. Daemon gave him the slip. So he wants to attack King's Landing. They can't agree. And so they split ways. Criston leads the Green's army south, and Aemond decides to turn into a terrorist and start burning towns in the Riverlands, hoping that Rhaenyra will send a dragon after him. So then, when Alicent hears that Rhaenyra is planning new campaigns against Aemond and Daeron, she pleads for peace while in chains in front of the Iron Throne. I'm not sure if the show will do anything with that or stretch it out over like 5. It'll be every episode. Alicent coming in front of Rhaenyra like week after week. Prediction.
That'd be nice.
Maybe Alicent will just be like permanently in the courtroom, like in chains, like the court fool, and she'll just be talking the whole time. I mean, they really...
Oh. I just thought of like, oh god, if they Jabba the Hutt her. Like on the leash.
No, she would be Princess Leia. So who's Jabba the Hutt then? The Iron Throne itself, right?
Yeah. Well, we can't call Rhaenyra Jabba the Hutt.
No, that would be terrible. It'd be the throne itself. That's funny. Somebody Photoshop it. Okay, no, don't. So you can guess how Rhaenyra responded to that. Hell no. Too late for that. So war goes on. The Red Kraken gets involved. Rhaenyra gave him a better offer, and the real deciding fact. What's that?
The Red Kraken.
Red Kraken.
Dalton.
And basically, the main thing is that with all the Lannisters and Westerland armies decimated, those are the favorite raiding targets of the Ironborn. So they kind of do what they wanted to do already, as young Oscar Tully said about Willem Blackwood, and they start raiding the crap out of all of the Westerlands. They take Case and Fair Isle, Lannisport, and they couldn't force entry into Casterly Rock because Jason's widow Joanna closed its gates, but they sacked Lannisport. So who knows how far into that they'll go, but Lannister's not doing well is kind of the summary here. Then we come to the Butcher's Ball. So this is really interesting. This is the continuation of the sort of the fish feed, kind of. So this is Criston's army heading south, and they're going through these different towns, and they're finding these feast of corpses. And so what the Winter Wolves and other people have done is they have essentially they've taken dead bodies and set them up in these little feasts along the road. It's very strange, but it sets up a trap where eventually at the 11th feast, they're soldiers and they're not corpses, and they spring alive and attack. And then it's a battle called the Butcher's Ball. And the main thing about this is it's the Riverlords and Roderick Dustin ambushing Criston Cole's army in between the God's Eye and the Blackwater Rush. Criston is cornered and challenges one of them to single combat. And they're like, F that, Kingmaker. There'll be no song sung of you. And they just pump him full of quarrels, and he dies. So that is Criston Cole's death. Your thoughts?
Lovely.
Lovely, yes. No notes, 5 stars.
No. Don't tell me what's in it. It's great.
And so then we get into Tumbleton battles. We'll talk about Tumbleton when we get to Hugh, but basically there's a series of just horrific battles at Tumbleton, and this involves the betrayal of Hugh and Ulf. They essentially are sent there by Rhaenyra to back up her forces, and instead they defect to the Greens and start massacring Rhaenyra's forces and people of the town. Ulf then sets himself up as a little petty lord. So they go over to the Greens, but immediately they keep going with their sort of "we should be kings" routine that they've had going. And so even though they go over to the Greens, as soon as they do, the Greens don't trust them and begin plotting to kill them with the Caltrops conspiracy. And Hugh Hammer actually is crowned, and there's a prophecy, and he has a little moment, but he's killed, and Ulf is killed, and Daron Daring dies, and Seasmoke and Adam come in and fight, and they die, and we'll talk about that in more detail. But these are the Tumbletons. It's just atrocity after atrocity, and the end result is that there is a remnant of a Green army left to march on King's Landing. So,
yeah, technically the Greens win because the Blacks never take Tumbleton. The Greens are able to retreat, seal it.
Right.
So, but the Blacks only lose like 100 soldiers to like the Greens that lose like 1,000. So officially it's a Green win, but logically it's a Black win.
And you notice that theme with almost all these battles. And I think really George is mimicking the Civil War. When I was a kid, I was a little bit into war, as all boys are. And I learned a lot about the Civil War. I used to live in Virginia, very near a couple of Civil War battlefields. I went and saw them and stuff like that. I knew all the 3 days of Gettysburg and the various movements of the battle and stuff like that. And this really does remind me of the Civil War. When you study the Civil War and you go through the American Civil War, I'm talking about, and you go through the different, it's like 5 years long, and it's just atrocity after atrocity. It's the worst kind of warfare, just hails of musket fire, people getting chopped up, hundreds and thousands of people just getting fed into these wood chippers, and no one ever really wins, kind of. I mean, so I think that's what George is tapping into here. It's particularly gruesome. Countrymen turning against countrymen. It's just the worst kind of war. I mean, all war is horrible.
Was the Civil War type of warfare the ones where there's like the two lines like this and it's like fire, fire? Or were we done with that? Was that more revolution?
It's a little bit past that, but not much. Okay. Like when you get down to the Custer's charge at Gettysburg, they're essentially trying to run a mile across an open field into musket fire that's coming down off of a ridge. So
a mile. Okay.
It was very poor plan.
Yeah, I mean, I live in Pennsylvania. I've been to Gettysburg on. It's a big field trip thing when you're in like elementary school.
Yeah, I've been too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, little round top. It's crazy to stand there and think about trying to run up the hill with guns and people shooting at you. Like it's, if you've seen the Gettysburg show, we need to get back on the rails. Anyways, it's a thing. So nobody ever wins.
It's so much real for us. It's not just lines on a page. It's like you have something in your mind that makes it.
Yeah, people bled out into that ground. If you dig down there, you'll find some blood for sure. So Rhaenyra. Let's talk about Rhaenyra. What is she doing? She's back at Dragonstone. She sends her dragon seeds and Jace to the gullet. That's what she does first. And of course, Jace dies, and they win, but heavy losses, Driftmark sacked, etc. Then what does Rhaenyra do? She flies to King's Landing and meets Daemon there with support from Corlys and the other dragon seeds, and she sits the throne for a time, and things are going bad pretty much right away. Questions that I have. Actually, let's catch up with Super. I said we would do Super Pickett's charge. Yeah. I said Custer. I knew that was wrong when I said that. Pickett's charge. Thank you.
Pickett's charge? Oh.
Yes. It's, not good. Not smart. In any case. Let's go for these super chats here.
It's smart.
Unleash Grey Waste Tim. We are doing it. I cracked at 500-year bimillennial anniversary and Bam Bam Bonero on your last vid. Thank you for laughing at my jokes. That is my favorite type of comment. just want to thank you. And Bam Bam Bonero is my favorite. Do love that. I have to think that's what George was thinking of. I mean, he's got flames all tattooed on his head. That's Bam Bam Bigelow. So just want to thank you. O'Reilly, you're welcome. Never finished reading Fire and Blood, but would it be possible in the least for Rhaenyra to replace Nettles in the Daemon story? Yeah, I mean, that does look to be potentially the way it's going. We're going to discuss that.
Yeah.
It is still possible that she could pop out of the bushes, but we'll get there.
No, Rhaenyra will replace Daemon. That would be more interesting.
It's Rhaenyra and Nettles.
Rhaenyra kills her father, Sith-like, claims Caraxes, and flies with Nettles and Sheepstealer. It's more lesbian love affair stuff. And they hunt down Aemond. Now this makes sense. It's right there. Kidding. So, do the old gods' old ways influence war in Westeros? The dead losers feed the weirwoods, and the surviving losers could fortify the wall. So this is something we were just talking about. What is Alice Rivers up to? She seems to be manipulating things towards the God's Eye fight, where we get 2 dragons and 2 dragon lords dumped into the lake. And we see a lot of these battles are feeding the weirwoods. So that is very possible, Zach. And we'll talk about that a bit more. Go ahead, Tim, if you have thoughts.
I was gonna say it's not like they're doing it on a conscious level. It's just that the weirwoods in the Riverlands and the weirwoods in the Riverlands especially just really end up winning out on the whole situation with all of the blood they get to drink.
Did you see the super chat on top of that one?
Did I?
The tower? Mm-hmm.
Oh, since Stormcloud is tiny, it looks like Rhaenyra or Nettles on Sheepstealer is being set up to save Aegon. This is a really good idea. We're going to talk about this. Obviously, Stormcloud is too small, but Aegon really does need to be rescued because it's so meaningful when Viserys and Aegon reunite after the war. Viserys has been over in Essos this whole time, finally comes back, and it's a big deal. Who is it that produces Viserys?
I've forgotten so much stuff.
He trades hands a couple of times, and there's
Yes.
another one of these SOC guys with a really kind of stupid name. But eventually, he ends up in the hands of House Rogaire, which is a licensed banking family.
Okay, a Rogaire is good enough for me.
I thought you meant who brought him back. Was it the Oakenfist? I thought it was Alan.
Yeah, Oakenfist is the one who makes the really one-sided deal to bring him back. But before that, when Viserys is first captured, he changes hands, and then there's a time where, again, I'm forgetting the name, but it's something like Bam Bam Bigelow. It's one of those really outlandish names that George gives to these Free City guys. Has him, but then he ends up selling him to the Rogaires, and ultimately it's the Rogaires who have him in the end.
Cool. So it is the Oakenfist. Yeah, I knew it was something significant because Oakenfist.
He does a lot.
He does a lot. He really establishes himself quickly as filling Corliss's shoes. So, okay. So let me go back over to the super chats. Thank you, Chet, for filling in our gaps in our knowledge. So yeah, we'll talk about the Rhaenyra thing more. I do think that's a good idea that if she claims Sheepstealer, she can make up for her bad babysittering and potentially go rescue Aegon. But why would she only be able to get Aegon and not Viserys? You could contrive a way, in the heat of battle or something. What do you guys think?
I have a contrivance. So she can't ride Sheepstealer right now. But her first ride on Sheepstealer is one of those, whoa, where are you taking me? And where does Sheepstealer go? Back to where they came from. And she runs into the Battle of the Gullet. That would be crazy, your first ride. And that could traumatize her because if she's taking over the Nettles storyline, part of the Nettles storyline is Nettles is very traumatized from the Battle of the Gullet. And it could be surmised that she never enters battle again because of that. After that, Nettles is chilling. She's not in Tumbleton. She's not doing anything.
Yep.
So if Rhaenyra, her first ride is a freaking war battle, that would traumatize her. But that's how she would be useful. And I mean, the dragon can still do stuff. It could still scoop in
I
and
mean,
claim,
Storm,
you know.
like maybe Stormcloud's not big enough to ride all the way, but maybe he'll have enough strength just to get Aegon into the air, and that's how Rhaena gets him. And then Stormcloud goes down like a helicopter in a tailspin. Like
Yeah.
maybe that's what happens.
Tim just wants to kill
Stormcloud drops
Stormcloud.
Aegon.
Why do you want to kill Stormcloud, Tim? Cute
No,
little dragon.
Stormcloud just drops Aegon, and then Rhaena scoops in at the last second, catches. Yeah, sorry.
And a deep one's hand reaches up.
Oh no.
Jace gets eaten by deep ones. That's canon. So, see, do you think Daeron will have black or brown hair or silver? It could add interesting theories. Silver. He rides a dragon. He has to be who he's supposed to be. He can't ride a dragon if he is Alicent and Kristen's son. So he is not.
And also, the actor said that they started their relationship after Viserys died, so he couldn't be Daeron's father.
Yeah, and I guess he could have. I take it back. He could have any color hair, but he's definitely the son of Viserys and Alicent. He has to be. So, somebody's saying he's a redhead. Well, the actor might be. We haven't seen him in costume yet, though. I suspect several of the events will be moved around on the show timeline. What are your thoughts on some timeline swapping? Well, that's kind of a general question that we're tackling with this whole stream. So I'm not sure how to answer that other than to keep doing the stream. Will Red Kraken appear next season? Kind of has to. Yeah, I think so.
Better.
Do you think we'll get time jumps again in season 4 and see Aegon's regency maybe end the series with Corlys's death? No, I don't think we'll need time jumps, really. I mean, very minor ones, but no, I think we will get the Hour of the Wolf and Aegon III taking the throne, with the regency. Yes, absolutely, I do. I do tend to think so. All right. So, with Rhaenyra, some of the questions that I had posed, as you can see. How will Rhaenyra's newfound faith affect the taking of King's Landing? It should be filled with messianic fervor, but then Jacaerys dies, so how is she handling that? And then the potential betrayal of Hugh and Ulf. It was all this inspiration of hers to give them the dragons. Mm-hmm. So if they turn on her, as they do in the books, that's going to kind of screw up her faith, isn't it? She might be kind of disillusioned. And so that was the first thing I thought might be interesting to discuss. Your thoughts?
Yeah, because it's all when the betrayal happens from Ulf and Hugh, it's like the ghost of Jace's words coming back to haunt her about you gave dragons to these people without ever really vetting them. Putting aside the whole mongrel thing, Jace did have a point on how much can we really trust these guys. And so I guess if they're not gonna end with Battle Over the God's Eye, if they want to keep that to season 4 to maximize Matt Smith, then the first Tumbleton, Ulf and Hugh's betrayal, does seem like another good spot for the season closer. Or that, or the taking of Dragonstone. I'm not sure. I don't really know where. But yeah, that being Ulf and Hugh turning cloak at that being our final scene, and then that's the thing we're left to chew on up until season 4.
I agree. I think that betrayal and Tumbleton would make a very dark ending note to the season. Yeah.
Well, so I saw people in the chat saying that Tumbleton, that Hugh's wife is going to die there, because Hugh's wife did mention having family in Tumbleton. So if that becomes the thing to make Hugh, that drives Hugh to make the decision he does to turn cloak, if his wife ends up being one of the victims at the first Tumbleton, and that could be the motivating factor in why he turns on Rhaenyra and goes to the Greens.
So,
whereas with Ulf, it was just going to be, he's just a scoundrel.
This is exactly what I have in my notes, which is coming up soon. But this is a whole thing we got to hash out, is how they're going to do this Tumbleton connection. Obviously, his wife having family in Tumbleton, be let's go to Tumbleton, let's go to Tumbleton. Clearly they're setting something up here. So yeah, I've got a couple different possibilities with that. That is going to be a juicy thing to discuss.
I'll wait until we get to Ulf. So yeah, I'll wait until we get to Ulf.
Thank you for waiting. I appreciate you.
The potential betrayal. Yeah, let's keep it on.
Okay. So
I don't know about what did you think about the faith? What were you thinking when you wrote this?
Well, no, I mean, but Tim's. I'm bagging on Tim. I'm sorry, Tim. You're right. No,
Hey,
I mean,
Chat's the one bringing it up.
well, no, but the thing is, we know that Hugh
It's
has the prophecy, and he like this is a whole thread of the dragon faith and stuff. So even as Rhaenyra is getting losing her religion, possibly, there's Hugh in the corner finding his religion and becoming king in some cases. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they play that.
So why do you think Rhaenyra is going to lose her religion or her faith? Because I would think that it would grow the minute her butt touches the seat.
It will at that point. She'll have her son will be dead though, and she has such a close relationship with Jace. Like it's the only kid of hers that she talks to.
Yeah.
Luke died. They only had a couple scenes together, but we've had a whole season of her and Jace.
Yeah.
When Jace dies, it's gonna be It's gonna be
Yeah. I don't think
a lot harder and more brutal for us as an audience than Luke's death, because we just have spent more time with the character and we know how much it means to Rhaenyra. Having already lost Luke, gonna be brutal. So Rhaenyra will be shaken, but also like, okay, I'm winning. I'm on the throne. Here it is. But then the betrayal is really the thing where I say that's gonna break her, because it's like she empowered these dragon lords and then they turn on her. Because at this point, like, Team Black is riding very high in the saddle. They're winning everywhere. They've just destroyed the Lannister army. Aemond is gone rogue, and that's basically, like, Criston Cole's dead. His army is destroyed. It's just this Hightower army and Aemond flying around on Vhagar until the two betrayers flip. And now, all of a sudden, Rhaenyra's kind of effed again. So, like, it's a big effing deal, as some people.
It's like it's what I said before. Like every major point in this war is, even when it becomes a victory, it's still one step forward, two steps back. Yes, you take the throne, you take King's Landing, but at what cost? You lose another son. It's like that moment, Marvel Cinematic Universe. What did it cost? Everything. Because you got the throne, but now two kids are dead. And I don't think Joffrey's even had any speaking roles in these 2 seasons since he's been along. But like, where was I going? Yeah, and then you couple that with Daemon's visions, and the last thing he hears from from Dream Viserys about the crown, like it crushes you. The weight of it crushes you. When Rhaenyra might feel joy when her butt sits the throne, like Nettles had said, but the crown going on your head, the weight of it immediately coming down is also the next thing she's going to feel after that.
So your next question, how will they depict Rhaenyra's misrule? Do you think...
Air quotes, misrule. I just want to note that.
I know.
Yeah.
This is a spicy question, but do you think it's... Yeah. Spicy.
I didn't know you could do that voice.
Oh, yeah. Actually, No. How will they depict Rhaenyra's misrule? I think the misrule... Do you guys think that we'll continue on this path of... It's an accident. Rhaenyra didn't do any of these things that they're saying. It's David. It's a misunderstanding. It's Masari. Or do you think now we're going to see dark Rhaenyra where it's like, no, I didn't say bring me Aemon and blood and cheese happened. I did this. Like more of the same or something different?
That's the exact right question. And so let's outline the things that are involved in the misrule. She gets there. The gold is gone. They turn Tyland upside down and inside out, and they look underneath his eyeballs. They don't find any gold. And so it is gone. She is broke. And so we've seen already, like, being in charge of King's Landing kind of sucks. Aemond and Aegon are both like, man, why is everybody complaining? It's like, because you're in charge and stuff sucks. You're supposed to fix it. So that's going to be even worse now. Everybody's hungrier, more war-torn, there's less food, whatever. And the money's gone. And so one of the things that Rhaenyra does is she raises taxes. And this makes her unpopular, of course, because if people are hungry. It's like, oh, you're raising taxes? Cool.
And they're owed money. It's not just that they're hungry. It's they're hungry.
They're owed money. Rhaenyra doesn't have it to pay.
Right. But not Rhaenyra's fault. Next, what are her other charges? I'm her lawyer.
Um, well, this is just
Not
a
her fault.
situation that she walks into, right? So
I know, I
then,
know.
Damon doesn't stick around long. He finds an excuse to go back out into the field,
They
chasing
could make
after Aemon, because we know Damon doesn't have the patience for rule. So you could make the argument he should have stayed there, helped Rhaenyra. Instead, he pieced out. Is this another Trans Am moment? Is this a fight? Or is it just, I got to go fight the war? We'll see. Probably a Trans Am moment.
yeah.
And then we've got Mysaria involved. In the books, it's very confusing what role Mysaria plays. There's a different and I think better defined relationship on the show between Rhaenyra and Mysaria that we kind of have a feel for. So
Can
Yeah.
we'll have to see
what
if
do you,
I'm gonna give it to
sorry.
both of you, but I'm just gonna say we'll have to see if Mysaria sticks with Rhaenyra, undermines her, turns against her. Like there's a whole range of options here. Tim and then Nettles.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say is the key, the big thing is the perception, because Rhaenyra, what like going into this last season, right? Everyone is blaming Aegon and Aemond and the High Towers for them starving, even though Rhaenyra and Corlys are the ones causing the blockade, right? But the perception, even though it's Rhaenyra that's doing the blockade, because Aegon is the one on the throne, he's the one who is seen at fault. So now, flip side of this, now with Rhaenyra on the throne, but she bringing out taxes. Yes, she's doing it because the Greens move the money, but again, the perception is you're the one on the throne, therefore it's your fault. And this is very much like a real world political thing. We always look at like when things are good, it's the person in charge is it's because the person in charge is doing good. If things are bad, it's because the person in charge is doing bad. You never really seem to think like, well, yeah, things are good, but it had nothing to do with this guy. It's because of the last administration's actions.
Yeah.
It's just,
Always.
sometimes things take time to coalesce. And like,
Work with them.
and that's what we see now. Like, yeah, like we can look at that in our current very polarized political situation. Again, speaking as an American, it's like how much blame is Biden getting for things that were Trump's fault? How much praise did Trump get for things that were actually Obama's doing, and so on and so forth and going back, both good and bad. The perception, though, always is because people are short-sighted, and let's be honest, there's like that saying, a person is smart, people are dumb. People are short-sighted, and so people will only look at, well, who's in charge? You're in charge, things are bad, your fault.
So
It's your
let
fault.
me put a button in this, Tim. I agree with you, and it's a well-known phenomena. But yeah, lest we go into
Too much. Got too real? Too real?
no, but you're right. Well, the truth is like it's complicated. Like certain things respond more quickly to policy changes than other things. So some trends take longer. It's a whole thing. But for the most part, people do love to oversimplify and yes, do just what you were saying. So bottom line is if you're in charge, you're in charge. And even if it's somebody else's problem you inherited, it is now your job to fix it. That's what you signed up for. So when Rhaenyra takes the throne, she's accepting this responsibility. She doesn't get to go, oh, but they screwed it up for me. It's like, well, find a solution or let somebody else sit on the throne. That's like the hard reality of it. So we'll have to see how this goes down. Do they have other ideas besides just raising taxes? Whose idea is it? You know, what's the discussion like? What other things do they try? This will be pretty interesting.
What do you guys think the Mysaria, Daemon, and Rhaenyra dynamic will be like? Because for me,
Good question.
Damon is going to come back and see a changed Rhaenyra. From my opinion of what I saw on season 2, I feel like Mysaria is the number one driving force behind all of Rhaenyra's I guess more empowering actions, like the dragon seeds, but even like the actor, like how they're portraying. Like I've just seen a change in them, like a change in their walk and step and just confidence, the slap, all of that. So many things happened after that kiss. And we, like I said this before, like so many of us, when you find the one or a one, like a love that can empower you, like Sam, going from Sam the Slayer, or being Sam, someone who wets himself, to someone who's killing a White Walker after meeting Gilly. So I can't decide. I'm such a Gemini. It's 50-50. Either Damon comes in and he's like, heck yeah, this is my dream threesome. My wife and my girlfriend get along every night in the bed. Like, it could just be that. Or he comes in and he's like, you're listening to Masaria more than you listen to me. Because because you just mentioned that Jace has a good relationship with Rhaenyra. Well, we saw that she's leaving him out, and now Masaria is the voice on her left shoulder. So Jace didn't like that. So Damon definitely might not like that. Because Damon's the type to be like, yes, you can be the queen, but a puppet queen. I'm going to tell you what to do, especially in war things, and you have to listen.
It feels like there'll be a three-way argument fallout thing happening with Mysaria, Rhaenyra, and Daemon. Maybe it'll be like a little kinky at first, like, this is fun. But it'll quickly, if there is that moment, there will quickly be a falling out. One would guess. And it's like it seems like Daemon will be the first to leave. Then the question is, how does the Rhaenyra, Mysaria relationship evolve? Because Mysaria is often giving Rhaenyra advice about her policy towards the small folk and making her aware of how the small folk are. And so one imagines Mysaria would be trying to help Rhaenyra govern well. I mean, she'd be very invested. That's the whole reason she's with Rhaenyra, is so that Rhaenyra can take the throne and do better by the small folk. So this is going to go wrong somehow, somewhere, basically. I'm not sure how.
If it's good story writing, it should go wrong somewhere. Especially Mysaria and Rhaenyra. There has to be betrayal. Like, what if Mysaria was playing her this entire time?
I think she has. It's me.
But, or maybe not. I don't know.
So Kim, I do have your PayPal. Thanks for reminding me. I do have it up here on the screen. So she is asking, can we talk about Helaena bursting into Daemon's weirwood vision? We tackled that last week in the decompression, so I don't want to go back into that in detail. But basically what we said was that it checks out that different kinds of magicians can see each other, because we know Bloodraven and Melisandre could see each other using different kinds of magic. We questioned the story sense of Helaena being in these Harrenhal dreams when she hasn't been involved in them before, and we've had no clues that she's tied to Alice or Daemon. We even joked, does Daemon even recognize Helaena when he sees her, like he hasn't seen her in a long time? So I'm not really... It was kind of spooky to have Helaena out on the ledge, staring off into space. Like, that was cool, but I'm not sure why she was there. Maybe they'll make more sense, to where it's like, oh yeah, all the witches are orchestrating the God's Eye thing for some reason. It kind of feels like that at this point. Someone earlier in the chat was joking that Helaena is pulling a Hamlet routine. She is not a seer at all. This is all an act. You know the story of Hamlet, right, Nettles?
Yeah, but I don't. Who's the seer?
Someone in the chat said no. She's been doing an act the whole time, and she's gonna throw it off and then take power right at the end. Which isn't going to happen, but that's hilarious. I love that idea. So, anyways, yeah, I don't know. And then you added on in your super chat. Let's see what you said. Can you discuss lore additions like Helaena and Daemon's weird vision and the Green Men? What will this bring to season 3? So, I will be looking to insert the Green Men at all possible instances as we preview season 3. You can rest assured of that. I already did once with the fish feed. We also got to talk about Adam in more detail too. So that's the big one.
Oh yeah.
And then because the Weirwoods are gonna get a blood buffet in the upcoming season.
Indeed. Let's see. Yeah, there's a lot of questions about Helena's motivations being involved in the dream. I think that's the main confusing thing. So for now, we don't know. Maybe they were going to give us another clue in episode 9 or 10 instead of leaving us hanging, but they can't now, so hard to say.
We'll see.
Tina of the Tower has met Bam Bam Bigelow. That's cool.
Oh, really?
Love that.
Oh yeah. So going on what Nettles was saying, steering it back to Mysaria, because in the way it is in Fire and Blood, it's written like they really make Mysaria out as like this jealous ex-girlfriend type, and that could be the misogyny. Of course, it's the misogyny of the Maesters influencing that, but it does make me wonder if they are going to give her a sort of Tyanna of the Tower moment of like how much of this scheme, like Tyanna of the Tower, seemed to be ruining things for Maegor because of jealousy towards his other wives, and whether how much of that will play into Mysaria now that Daemon has had more of this. Now that Daemon has had his growth because of Alice and has bent the knee to Rhaenyra and is not looking at her as you're just a stepping stone for me, you're my puppet queen. Like, no, Rhaen, like you're the queen, you're in charge, I'm at your bidding. Like, how is Mysaria going to play into that? Is she going to look at Daemon and be like, "You're not the man I thought you were. Like, you're not the man I married, not the man you married. Like, definitely not the man she married."
And then real quick, following up on Kim's question about Helena and the Weirwood net, which we did discuss again in more detail last week, Kim. Michael Talks About Stuff made a video about it, and I meant to recommend it and I forgot. I haven't watched it yet, but he did. It's literally how Helena entered Daemon's dream. So I know, Kim, you've seen it, but for anyone in the chat that's interested in that topic, check out Michael Talks About Stuff. Good fellow. Had him on. We'll have him on again. And yeah, so anyway.
Someone, or it was Adam, I remember. Adam said that they think that 100% nothing will be Rhaenyra's fault. And I think I'm going to agree at this point. I would love to be proven wrong. I would love it to be proven wrong. But I think we're going to get more of the same. Oops.
I honestly think that they're doing a little bit of a subtle thing with Rhaenyra in that they are presenting her, and this goes back to season 1. Narratively, she feels like the main character and the good guy. But if you pay attention, they are telling the other side of it too. Like the triumphant scene when Viserys is walking to the throne to stand up for his girl and all this stuff. That's an Emperor Wears No Clothes moment. They are enforcing a lie, and they're executing people for telling the truth. Vaemond is a dick, so we don't care. We're like, cool, chop his head off. He's a dick. He called the kids bastards. They're good kids. However, he's making a political statement, and he's right. And it's Rhaenyra and her father that are trying to enforce this lie. So it's like, it's a very complex moment when you think about it. And similarly, I pointed out last week, Daemon kneels to Rhaenyra, and this great moment. Oh, we've got the army. Daemon is saying, and we will show no mercy, and everyone's cheering. So it's kind of like when Drogo, I said, we will rape their women and burn down their castles. And it's this triumphant moment for Dany, but we're like, wait a minute. That's a little, I don't know if we want to do that. So I feel like, and again, with the messianic thing, it's like, it's really cool to see Rhaenyra decisive and feeling the force with the dragons and stuff, but she also just locked 30 dragon seeds in a room and fed them to a dragon just to see what would come out on the other side. So you could look at that and be like, red flag, right? So
I definitely see what you're saying, and I love how you said about the Emperor's new clothes. Sorry. I get what you're saying, but all I want to say really quickly, Tip, is just that everything you said is null and void because she saw the white heart. Go, Tim.
I mean,
she did.
I was gonna say, like, they definitely are setting up another misunderstanding in that Rhaenyra is gonna come to King's Landing expecting Alicent to hand over Aegon. Oh no, Aegon's not here. Larys smuggled him out. Alicent doesn't know that, but the perception from Rhaenyra is going to be that Alicent went back on the deal. So that's another misunderstanding they're setting up. But we can't keep doing that. We can't keep having everything be a misunderstanding. So it's going to be, how does Rhaenyra react to this next misunderstanding? That's going to be whether or not she has the heel turn. Because sending out the tax collectors to tax everyone in King's Landing to like the very last penny, that has to be a deliberate action. That's not something you just blunder your way into. even if it's someone on your small council who comes up with the idea, that's still something that Rhaenyra should have direct oversight on and be able to say, like, no, I take it back, don't do that. At some point, something needs to be Rhaenyra's fault, and it has to, like, no.
Maybe.
Well,
no uncertainty about it. This was a mistake that you made.
Well, Tim, you're right in that she's the queen, so she's in charge. So no matter what happened, and similar with Blood and Cheese, like Daemon carried it out, it went on her name, Rhaenyra the Cruel. That's why she was pissed, because she understands that she did that. So the other thing about it is the Adam thing, when she turns on Adam, like that's really when everything falls apart for her, because she's turning on Corlys, she's turning on her last dragon rider, and essentially showing everyone around her that like she's paranoid now and doesn't trust anyone. And this is really the beginning of the end for her. So that is a huge, huge moment. And even if a lot of the stuff before that feels like, oh, she was trying to do the right thing and she just got steered into this fling, once she makes that choice to order Adam's arrest, she's kind of signed the death warrant in a way.
I think you got it.
It needs Tumbleton needs. It will probably be the defining factor when Hugh and Wolf turn their books.
I think if we have good writing in season 3, it'll be your last bullet point: the Iron Throne, nearly as cursed a prize as Harrenhal. If we have good story writing, that's what we're going to see from Rhaenyra.
Well, this is the observation that I was making when I was talking about this with Maynard James Plum last night. Is like, Harrenhal is the exaggerated version of this theme. Obviously, everyone who takes it, going all the way back in history, is cursed. Aemond is going to kill Simon Strong, which makes him the Lord of Harrenhal, essentially. He has now taken Harrenhal, and he dies in the damn lake, like, shortly after, okay? So the Iron Throne is a similar symbol. It's a throne of swords. It's basically an altar. You throw the king on there, he bleeds out as a sacrifice. So
both have dragon fire.
What's that?
Like, both have dragon fire in the making. Harrenhal, the Iron Throne.
And it was a lot of the swords from Harrenhal that were first taken to make the Iron Throne. So direct connection. And so I was just thinking about that. Like, yeah, they were really highlighting what a poisoned prize it is to sit the Iron Throne in this season when the Greens were in charge. And we'll see more of that next year. So it makes you think there kind of is a reason why they're playing up the Harrenhal thing, because it is a nice mirror for the curse of power. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think what would be a great scene for them to add in would be for Rhaenyra to be sitting on the throne and, just like Aegon, having petitioners come, but every petition is just a complaint about the state of things right now, and it just bogs her down. And maybe there's a point where she just kind of loses her cool and insults someone. And
that'll be good.
And then that becomes the moment that the throne cuts her. Like, that should be it. That's how I would write it.
That kind of makes sense, because she does get a little miffed when people are giving her. She's had a lot of bullshit given to her in her life, and she kind of is over it. So I can see that. Yeah.
What about her armor? I do want to go on to Daemon. I'm the worst, but her
armor.
Well,
no, the Daemon Rhaenyra stuff is still intertwined, so that's why I have it up on the screen. But no,
this is just a side geek thing.
There's some good Rhaenyra in armor art out there. We should see it. Yeah. What's all the dunk in the egg? What's going on here with the dunk and egg? We love egg. The chat is on one. I'm not sure what's going on. I won't try to understand it. So Daemon, like we said, he flies to Harrenhal. We've seen that. He flies to King's Landing from Harrenhal. And then he helps Rhaenyra. This is the recap of what Daemon does. He helps Rhaenyra take King's Landing. And then at some point he leaves and goes hunting for Aemond. So the big question is whether or not Nettles is around. If Nettles appears, then we know that the supposed affair, which probably is an affair, between Nettles and Daemon is what alienates Rhaenyra and Daemon the final time. So if there is no Nettles, what will be the thing that alienates them is one question. And like I kind of already raised this question, what is Daemon's level of involvement in the misrule in King's Landing? I think it's mostly a matter of him leaving her and not staying there to help her. But Nettles was saying there could be some interesting Mysaria, Daemon, Rhaenyra conflict that could, maybe that's what leads to the falling out. But yeah, what do you guys think? If there is no Nettles, how will they create this rift?
I think it's wise to talk as if there won't be a Nettles when we answer this question.
Yeah, we're
What
gonna
do you
answer
mean?
this.
If they gave us a Nettles in season 3 and quickly tried to hurry up and do a love story after we just saw a love story with Alice, that would be the most. It's too late. They've made their bed; they have to lie in it. If we see Nettles, we know it's because
There wasn't a love
they
story.
watched
They
their
never
videos.
kissed. Alice and Daemon never kissed.
Why? Who talks this close to someone's face? Please, please, please. There's fan art.
There's fan art. There's a lot. Look, there's a lot of fan art of stuff that didn't happen. I'll tell you that.
I know, but still, it's come on, because now everyone's. This is when we get to Aemon.
Well,
This makes me question Aemon and Alice because we've seen so much of Daemon and Alice. But anyways, let's answer this as
No,
whatever,
I think
answer
you're right, and you're repeating a point that Gray Area has made, which is very good, which is that in the books, it's Nettles that sort of leads Daemon on this different arc towards the more magical, seemingly, and Alice has already done that. So there would be a kind of a repetitive thing potentially. Could be, yeah. We'll see. We'll see.
If we see
Tim, your
Nettles,
thoughts? Sorry,
it's
go ahead.
Because I just want to say, if we see Nettles, it's because they watched our videos and they're like, oh, or heard the fan uproar,
Yeah.
and they're gonna sloppily put something together. I don't want that.
Look,
do what y'all are doing,
hey,
but do it good.
you take that word sloppy back. They have not locked themselves in. This could be a silver lining to having these episodes cut. And maybe this
I'll
is
take
what
it
they were
back.
thinking. They can do anything. They have not showed us Rhaena claim sheep stealer. Nettles could be right around the corner behind a bush. I mean, or they could bring her in a bunch of different ways. They really
Okay.
could.
You're right. We
you're
know
both
nothing
right.
until we see season 3. So you're right. I
This
take
is
it
a
back.
decision that they, even if they've made it, they can unmake it. They haven't filmed season 3. They haven't written it. So that's all I'm saying is they can do it if they want to. And if they want to do it, they don't have to do it sloppy. They can introduce her as one of the coolest new characters in season 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, you're both right. They could write it so that Nettles has already claimed sheep stealer and this becomes a meeting, but Nettles is also right that if that happens, it's because they totally caved into fan pressure in the off season. But talking on this of
Hey, Tim, before someone in the chat saying Nettles is going to come around the corner with a sheep to feed. She's like, oh, no, don't get near the dragon. You need a sheep.
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
No, you can't pet him. You didn't ask permission. That reminds me. Yeah, don't just walk up to people's dogs and pet them without asking. But speaking on this, if we are going in the direction of yes, Rhaena is going to claim sheep stealer, Nettles is completely written out. How do we have this this roadblock that comes up that happens between Daemon and Rhaenyra? The next split between them, if it's not Nettles, because like you said in the book, it is Mysaria who's whispering in Rhaenyra's ear, telling her Daemon's sleeping with Nettles. That girl put a spell on him, which is another like Tyon of the Tower saying the same thing to Maegor, like Alice Haraway sleeping with 20 men a night to get pregnant. Like, it's that jealous ex-girlfriend vibe, but you can't really do that with Rhaena because that's Daemon's daughter. Like, how's Rhaenyra going to be angry that Daemon's spending time with his daughter? Well, then it has to me, the thing that needs to make Rhaenyra mad at Rhaena and want to punish Rhaena is going to be, you ditched your little brothers. You ditched your little brothers to go chasing after a dragon, and then and now Viserys is captured, possibly dead, and Aegon had to go on the flight of his life. Like, you left your little brothers behind. And I said, I'm speaking on this from personal experience as a person who lost track of his little brother. So, speaking to everyone, chat included, how many of you have a sibling? How many of you have a younger sibling? And for those that do have a younger sibling, was it not the expectation from your parents that you were going to keep an eye on your little brother or your little sister? because that was the expectation of me. Now we can argue, right? Because I know people have said, like, the last time when I said, like, Rhaena needs to suck it up, and people were like angry. People were saying, like, well, she's a child. I'm like, it doesn't matter, okay? I was a child too.
You want to tell everyone why you're so fired up and passionate about this topic? Because
yes, I will tell the story. Okay, because so the thing is like, oh, she's a child. Yeah, well, we're all children in this situation, but it's still the expectation. Now we can argue, like, is it fair to put that sort of responsibility on the shoulders of a child? No. Does it matter? Also, no. That is the expectation from your parents. And I had this. So I have a younger brother. We are 2 years apart. Okay, so the expectation was, like, when I went to school, when he started school, okay, you don't get on the bus until you know that your little brother is on the bus. So when he starts school, he starts kindergarten. He's 5 years old. Hooray! When he's 5 years old, I'm 7, okay? And yet I'm still in charge of a human life. Rhaena,
but you've already done 2 years of elementary school. You've done kindergarten, you've done first grade.
Pull it together, Tim.
Yeah, but again, so Rhaena, it's like, yeah, but Rhaena's a teenager. She's the age that most people would be. Now, I don't want to say, like, okay, she's a woman grown, because that's weird.
Tell the story, Tim. What did you do?
For this timeline, it is a woman grown. But yeah, so there was a time where we were at the mall, and my mom was shopping, and we were at the arcade. And I was playing Mortal Kombat. And do you have any idea how hard it is for a 7-year-old to get on the Mortal Kombat kiosk? That game's never open.
True.
There's to never have older teenagers.
Look, you can put your quarter up on the screen, but that doesn't necessarily mean you can play next. Yeah.
I had my priorities. And while I was playing Mortal Kombat, my little brother wandered off. So eventually, I die. I have no more quarters. I look around, I can't find my brother. I go back to the grocery store, I find my mom, and I go, "Where's Danny?" And her response is, "What do you mean, where's Danny?"
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Now, for anyone who else has been in this situation, where if you've ever lost track of your younger sibling, has your parents' reaction, has it ever been understanding and forgiveness? No. It is anger and terror and abject fear. And now cut away to me and her running around this mall trying to find my little brother. We found it.
He was fine, of course.
He went across. He went to the card shop. He was looking at. This was back when WWE was still WWF. He was looking at wrestler toys, and it's like, whatever. We got him back. He was fine, barely molested. But they bring him in like that. That is but that's the thing. Like, that's the expectation. So it doesn't matter if you're a child in this situation.
Babality.
Darkest joke. No, but what's darker is me asking my brother if it was okay if I make that joke as his expense, and him saying, "I only remember the candy." Just to let you know how much of a degenerate he is.
Okay, so.
But the point I'm getting at is it doesn't matter that Rhaena is a child who is burdened with looking after other children. It's still, that's the expectation that parents have for the older sibling. You are the eldest, therefore you are in charge. You need to be looking out for your little brother. Rhaena failed in that. She ditched them to go chasing a dragon. So when word comes back to Rhaenyra that Viserys has been kidnapped, presumed dead, and she gets word that Rhaena wasn't there, what do you think her reaction is going to be? Is it going to be understanding and forgiveness? Or is it going to be, where were you?
No!
I have a foil for your plan. Rhaena didn't go out drinking. She didn't sneak out. She went and got a dragon, a big boy dragon, to aid in the war effort. So I think Rhaenyra and Daemon will be forgiving, understanding, and they might applaud her. The Battle of the Gullet was going to happen whether Rhaena was there or not.
Daemon's like, look, we've got a couple of kids. I mean, the dragon is pretty impressive. But no, they don't actually. They're running out of kids. That's part of it. So there is the idea that maybe Sheep Stealer and Rhaena will swoop in to save Aegon because Stormcloud is too small. This is an interesting way to make it meet up. I don't think so Tim, first of all, hugs. Not your fault. I mean, it was, but
It's your fault.
you can let it go at this point. I think.
Now things are fine. This is like I'm talking about things that happened like 30 years ago at this point.
Yeah, it's clearly still as fresh as yesterday, but we appreciate you dredging that up for us. And the point is, they will be mad at Rhaena about that potentially, but I don't think this will be like similar to the affair of Daemon and Nettles and Rhaena thinking that Daemon's been bewitched by some woman and ordering her death. Because remember, Rhaenyra orders the arrest of Daemon and the execution of Nettles at Maidenpool from the Lord of Maidenpool, which is very dishonorable. And he refuses the honor and goes over to the Greens. And this is more Rhaenyra being paranoid, turning on her own people and undermining her own cause. So it's a major plot point, and I don't think that Rhaena being a bad babysitter can take that place. So that's why I'm interested to see how they will generate some of that. And some people are like, well, they're taking it out because it makes Rhaenyra look bad.
Well, see, I disagree because one, Rhaena is not Rhaenyra's child; she's her stepchild. But two, I think, like I said, we got lucky that I found my brother. But when you're in the situation when you are a parent who has lost a child, I think your reaction to that will be extreme. And to learn that Rhaena wasn't there, I do see Rhaenyra maybe not wanting to kill her like she would want to kill Nettles, but to have Rhaena,
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, to demand that Rhaena have some kind of punishment, but Daemon as her father being the one to shield her from consequence, that I could see being another wedge driver between the two of them.
I feel you on the evil stepmother because I would love to see it. I just want to see evil Rhaenyra. So I do want the evil stepmother. But imagine if you had kids and they were getting on a plane and one of them steps off because they were in the bathroom and the plane crashes. Are you going to say to the one kid that survived, I wish you were on the plane? Because that's what you're asking of Rhaena. What is Rhaena going to do to stop the battle?
But it's not. That's the thing. It's not.
Other than just be a dead woman on the bottom of the ocean floor. She's going to stop the entire battle. The one with no dragon, the one with the little girl who mopes for an entire season. And Rhaenyra's like, if you were there, everyone would be alive.
That's
what?
true.
No. This is a
Rhaenyra,
car wreck. This is a plane crash. And I wish you were there too, so you could have died.
No, this is Catelyn looking at Jon and saying it should have been you. Rhaena is not Rhaenyra's child. She's a stepchild. Rhaenyra could have a similar moment with Rhaena. It should have been you.
I think you both have good points actually here.
Good.
Yeah. I think you both have good points. It'll be interesting. I'm not disagreeing with you, Tim. I'm just saying I don't know if that's going to be enough to sort of take the place of that event, but maybe they don't feel like they need to replace it one for one.
They've already whitewashed Rhaenyra enough as it is that it would definitely be something. It'd be something to at least show some darkness in her that we haven't really been getting.
And I will just warn the chat, this is not a place for your Catelyn hate. So just miss me with that. We can criticize all the characters, but don't just start venting. If I see stuff that looks uncomfortable, I will ban. I'm not into it. Not here for it. I do not mess with Order of the Green Hand. I do not respect them for their Catelyn takes in particular. They're extremely toxic, and I just won't have any of that energy here. So let me just warn you not to bring it. Thank you. I saw a little bit of it, so. Let's see here. In season 1, I mean, she makes mistakes, but no more than other characters. And the way people talk about her is very misogynistic. Let's just say it. So, in season 1, with the mean hoodie, Daemon paid Laenor's boyfriend's secret. Well, let me just read this comment. It was not.
You're talking about in the book that Daemon hired Carl Corey to kill Laenor. When in the book when Laenor just straight up dies versus the show version where Laenor and Carl run away to be happy.
Yeah, but in the show, they're clearly in love with each other. So this is not, no, that's not happening. Thank you for the super chat, but no, no chance of that. And we're not going to get an answer on that either. Rhaenyra just died somehow. It doesn't really matter, you know. I mean, maybe we'll find out, but it doesn't matter. Oh, Order of the Green Hand.
You know. Oh, that reminds me. Like last time, someone said like that we shouldn't like belittle other theorists, and it's like we didn't mention any other theorists that video except for Gray Area, who we praised, and it's like, you know, the only ones we ever dunk on are Order of the Green Hand.
So I figured that one out. We were playfully making jokes about everybody being a hidden green seer. There are a couple of channels that are maybe more famous than others for having a theory about various people being a green seer. That was not intended as, that was all well-meaning fun. I even said at this point, I think Alice probably is a green seer, and on the show, they very likely could be steering Damon in that direction too. I said that is possible. It's still fun to joke about everybody being a secret green seer. So that was just somebody taking that too seriously for some reason. But yeah, I only really bring up channels that I feel like are doing something like morally objectionable. Otherwise I'm not going to talk. I don't diss a channel just for having a theory I don't like. Like Hills Alive is dishonest about Daenerys. I didn't mention it in my Daenerys video. There's a 90-minute video called Hills Alive Has No Idea What She's Talking About by Phoenix Ashes. And if you question me calling out Hills Alive, go watch that video. It's a very dishonest channel. When you pull quotes and you cut out the parts that change the meaning and then you present it in an opposite way, like, for example, Dany, when she is looking at the Dothraki raping and pillaging the village in the first book. And she thinks to herself, well, this is the price of the Iron Throne. This is what it costs. I must be tough. The next sentence she goes, no, I can't, I won't have it. And she calls out to Jorah and she says, make them stop. And Hills Alive cuts out just that line, like, oh yeah, Dany loves the rape and pillage. And then doesn't even mention the next part. So like, that's dishonest. That's not a theory disagreement. That's dishonest. So just watch I wanted to make this video and then I found that somebody had already done it. So I was like, good, I don't have to make it.
Yeah,
but like,
that's awesome.
That's the only reason I'm going to bring it. And then with Order of the Green Hand, like I said, the Catelyn takes are nauseating in my opinion. And
the Oberyn takes are nauseating.
Oh,
they're just bad.
Let's move on.
They're just bad. They're just bad.
Ulf and Hugh. Can I say?
Yes.
Here are my takes.
Save us.
So,
Save us.
once again, Gemini, I just don't know which one is which. Either Ulf is good or Ulf is bad. I think there is a way to write the story where the Tumbleton thing is a misunderstanding. And I think they might have teased it during the Battle of Rook's Rest, where we see that when the dragons are in the air, it's hard to see who's on what side. And we see that it is Aemon who burns his brother. So I think the similar thing might happen at Tumbleton, where Ulf is going nuts and Hugh is trying to stop him. The only way to stop him is with a dragon. So it looks like Hugh and Ulf are burning things up, but it's not. It's Hugh trying to stop Ulf, and he's not able to. And yeah, I do think in that crossfire that Hugh should burn his own wife at Tumbleton. But and then when everything, and then when that's what I think. That I think Hugh might stay good. I don't think he ever flips, and that's the tragedy of it. I think when he's crowned, it's like a Jon Snow moment where he never asked to be king, but everyone just believes in him because he does something heroic. Maybe he gets Ulf off the dragon. Ulf can't be hurt yet. He needs to do some other stuff, but he gets Ulf off the dragon, and the people on the ground see what's going on, that it's Hugh that saved all their butts, or something heroic swoops in and saves a kid. I don't know. You fill it in. and they crown him like Jon Snow. They put that crown on his head, and maybe he hears that prophecy, so he thinks this is right, and he leans into it, runs into Daeron, and they have a great conversation. And he never ever says I've switched sides, but he just happens to be at the wrong place at the wrong place at the wrong time.
So I have thought about this. That's a great idea. I had not come up with that. I was wondering if like the stories about, Hugh, because obviously Ulf and Hugh are very different. Let me just scroll ahead to where I've got these notes here. Like Ulf is no mystery. Ulf is ready to betray anybody at any time. He has no ethics. Like if Daemon were there, he would probably Daemon. You should just cut that guy's head off right now and try again with Silverwing. Anyway, I like that idea that maybe Ulf didn't turn, maybe Hugh didn't turn, maybe he's trying to stop Ulf. They definitely can do anything they want. There's a lot of different rumors that floating around about what actually happened in the books, but obviously they're not even bound to those. So what is this you were saying about Hugh's wife?
Because Tim was saying earlier that she's at Tumbleton. Maybe Hugh burns his wife, like by accident.
Like he doesn't know that she's there and finds out that that's what's happened later.
Yeah.
I don't know if it needs to go that specific.
Or finds her body like Jon finds Ygritte.
Anything, if she dies in any connection to the battle, that's gonna flip him out, for sure. But how is it that he would blame that on Rhaenyra?
I'm not saying that he blames it on Rhaenyra. I'm just saying that it happens. Just throwing that in there just to add turmoil and human in conflict with itself. But he never turns on Rhaenyra. That just happens, and that's on him.
Right. That is possible.
Just like Jon. The Ygritte thing, there's no who's to blame. Jon doesn't flip, but he just has to live with that.
Because Rhaenyra's not at Tumbleton to be giving them some bloodthirsty order in the middle of battle. Like, I said, kill them all. And he's like, no, I won't do it. That's not, there's not really that dynamic. So I've struggled with figuring out what would cause Hugh to turn on Rhaenyra. But it's got to be something to do with his wife and his wife's family being at Tumbleton. So...
Or being crowned by thousands of men cheering your name.
That part makes more sense because he feels called to fight for the people. So that part makes sense. But there needs to be right now he seems loyal to Rhaenyra. So there's got to be something that maybe he sees a little bit of her misrule at King's Landing and loses faith in her. What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, because... I don't know, because the way they're writing Hugh definitely needs to be something, because they're giving him more characterization that he didn't get in the book, which I appreciate. We need a small folk perspective, but for him to make that turn cloak the way he does, there definitely needs to be some big motivating factor, and if it's not him who inadvertently burns his wife, if it turns out she's at Tumbleton, but just even someone else, if it's just the fact that she gets caught in the crossfire, but then the question becomes how does turning your cloak and changing sides to the Greens make that any different? That's not going to bring her back.
Yeah, imagine. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I guess I'm also questioning when exactly the Hugh the Hammer prophecy is going to crop up, because in Fire and Blood, I messaged you about this day. We're never told where that whole when the hammer falls on the dragon thing comes. Hugh doesn't come up with that himself. That's told to him by other people, and he just happens to like it. So I was thinking, if dreams come from dragons, maybe they'll make Hugh have a dream now that he has a dragon, and that made me think of the name connection: Hugh the Hammer, Verma Thor, the hammer coming down on the dragon. Maybe Hugh will have a dream, and that's where this hammer problem.
What if it's Ulf? What if Ulf has a dragon dream, has a religious experience, and becomes John the Baptist to Hugh's Jesus?
That would be awesome. We see Ulf converted to someone who's I don't drink anymore. I'm not going to R3 women a day.
Because the Apostle Paul was a persecutor of Christians until he was blinded on the road to Ephesus, and then he became a great prophet. So I don't think that's going to happen. I'm just freestyling.
No,
Here. Sorry.
no, but that would be good story writing. We'll see.
That would be crazy. That would be. We are going to get, of course, a Mad Prophet in season 4, the Shepherd. During the official GOT official podcast interview Fabian Frankel mentions that the blacksmith killed his wife. The blacksmith kills his wife.
What?
That doesn't make any sense.
You would never be allowed to spoil that.
Yeah. They wouldn't put that out.
They wouldn't spoil that. I don't even know if he would use the word the blacksmith. He knows either the actor's name or the character's name. But I could see someone finding out, small folk, that that's his wife. That's his wife. They grab her and they said, like, they can have her at the parapets, like, give up or we'll kill your wife. And he doesn't give up and they kill her. Something like that.
I was thinking about something like that. Like maybe she's taken captive by soldiers on Rhaenyra's side and that turns him or forces him to turn or something like that. Yeah. Jimmy V says he heard the interview and that wasn't what was said. So
okay.
Yeah, I can't think that would be, they'd put that out. If he accidentally said that, they would edit that out.
But if you're right, cool on us, because we just predicted that on the fly, right?
Oh, I'm no fan of the apostle. Sorry, I'm reading a chat comment and just blurting out. I apologize.
Do it.
I'm not a fan of the Apostle Paul. I don't know if they got that impression, but yeah, his letters are terribly dreary. They're very depressing.
He loves women. Just kidding. Ulf's betrayal is predictable. Do you think so?
Yeah.
Some people
you know
are
how
fans.
they love to
I'm one of them.
They love to subvert expectations. Maybe okay, but yeah, you go ahead.
So the only thing we haven't hit here is the idea of someone confronting Hugh. Rhaenyra's not there to talk to him. Ulf is a mess. We don't know any of these other characters, the caltrops, and we're not invested in any of these. Maybe we'll get to know one or two of them during the course of next year. But we know that Adam is coming there at some point for Second Tumbleton. So will they change the circumstances so that there will be a conversation between Adam and Hugh, or Adam and Ulf, the good dragon seed? Because Rhaenyra turns on Adam because of what Hugh and Ulf does. So if he flies there and they somehow end up on the ground talking to each other before they're fighting with dragons, that could be interesting. There could be some interesting conversations. That's just a thought I had. But
yeah. I'm so sorry.
And Daron is there too, right? Yeah.
I just want to say, this is spicy. This is why I have no sympathy when they say, "Oh, writers strike," or the writers couldn't write it, because you come up with stuff on the fly that it could be a throwaway idea, but it's something you can embellish. Like, such great ideas, and that's where my frustration comes from when I don't see excellence on the screen, is just because sitting around with friends, we come up with like such great ideas.
Well, but that's part of, okay, so we are brilliant and they should listen to us more. I agree with that. But
I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's possible to think of these storylines.
I will just say that part of the writer's strike is that they were not allowed to change anything on filming, because even if someone else that isn't a writer is making a change, they would then be writing. So that's not allowed. So like they only could film the stuff that they had written.
Already written. Okay, I didn't understand that.
Yes.
And excuse my ignorance, does the writer's strike mean every single writer in Hollywood could not write? Or is it like a choice, like I'm striking, or another writer
breaking?
Could be like, no,
nobody was breaking the strike. I mean, that was just a thing. And
Okay.
and it was controversial because some of the producers, like Ryan, are also writers. And so in order to not break the strike, they can only act as a producer on the set. They cannot do any writing.
Okay.
And that even just them being there was controversial because they also write. Some people thought they should have stopped everything, period, because of that. So it really was a constraint.
I have a little sympathy now. You really just taught me something, because I honestly thought that it was like a choice. Like some writers did it, some writers didn't.
I think that after we see the next season, we will have more resolution about what things were just poor choices, like the Alicent Rhaenyra dialogue. If you don't like that, some people did. If you didn't like that, that's more of a choice. Some of the stuff will be clear when we see what happens next, like, oh, that's what they were doing with Rhaena or whatever. So my shirt, this is a burning stag. And it is quite the festival of artwork here. It's a local artist. I got it at a rave on Friday. So
It's not a Song of Ice and Fire theme?
no.
That's so good. It looks like Dali. It reminds me of Salvador Dali.
Yeah, that's what's cool about the raves in a little bit. Yeah, about you go to rave in California, they have the little table with all the hippie stuff, and sometimes you get a pretty cool shirt. So yeah, I was like, wait a minute. I was like, this is all I saw first was the clouds and the branches. I was like, that's cool. I was like, what? What?
Stannis.
What? Sold. Do you think the show will end with Viserys' return or the end of the Regency? We should see Viserys' return. I don't know about the end of the Regency. I don't know if we need to go into all that. Probably just Aegon II dying and Aegon III being put on the throne. Probably not much else. But we'll get all that Hour of the Wolf stuff for sure. So that's not really what we're talking about today, though, because that's not season 3. All right, to you, Gary. Apologies if you've already talked about it, but if Rhaena is Nettles, what about Mourning and Sheepstealer heading to the Vale? We did not talk about Mourning. That's the only part we didn't hit. I don't know. If they have her claim Sheepstealer, then maybe someone else will hatch Mourning. Maybe Sheepstealer. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that.
It could be resolved easily, especially if they killed Sheepstealer and then she hatches Mourning. Or, someone else could hatch Mourning. I think that's easily resolved. Rhaena, Mourning is not going to stop Rhaena from claiming Sheepstealer, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't think so either, no. Are we going to see the cannibal? I hope so. The cannibal does play a role. And what's up, Mickey? Nice to see you. I'm going to make a cannibal video soon.
Yay!
So I hope cannibal will be out there. But yeah, I'm going to do the cannibal theory, the different dragon lineage theory for cannibal, and sort of get it all together. But
Black Dragon theory.
What's that?
The Black Dragon theory.
Is that what that's called?
Yeah, something about black dragons are different than all the other dragons. Cannibal, Drogon, and Valerion.
So I think I might have started that idea, but I gave it up because I don't know if there's any there. I was more talking about the idea that cannibal is from a different family than Targaryen, from Valerians that were on Dragonstone before
that
the Targaryens.
Too.
Yeah, and that's why he's eating all the Targaryen dragons.
And also because cannibal has green eyes. He's a black dragon with green eyes, which makes him shaggy dog coloring, which is different. Because the green eyes and the red eyes are just in the way that shaggy dog, Bran's direwolf, has black fur and green eyes, and Rickon is possibly the most powerful of the Stark children, skin changers. And then Jon's Ghost is white fur, red eyes, which is weirwood colors. And then we know among the children of the forest, not every child of the forest is a green seer. The one born with the gift are the ones with the red eyes and the green eyes. The normal ones are the ones that come out with the gold eyes. And so there's something about cannibal being a black dragon with green eyes that sets him apart from all the others.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Right. Drogon and Balerion look identical. And cannibal does not.
It's interesting we never got told what Balerion's eye colors were.
Probably red.
I thought he was black. I thought they said black with red markings.
Maybe red eyes, yeah.
So
that'd be very Targaryen, red and black. Anything else about Ulf and Hugh?
Let's see. What do I got here? No, that's pretty much it.
We can't talk about if they die or not, because that.
Oh, well, I mean, they both died, but.
No, I just mean, is that season 4? Is Tumbleton?
Oh, no. Probably. I mean, we don't know, but we could, if you have a thought, go ahead. Yeah. Somebody drinks Ulf under the table. It's Ormond Hightower, who's kind of older, and he drinks the poison wine and then tries to throw it up, but doesn't. And then Bold John Roxton slays Hugh the Hammer with Orphan Maker, a Valyrian sword. But I just have a feeling that that's all going to get changed. There's not going to be any John Roxton. It's all going to be different. Like they're doing something different with Hugh and his family at Tumbleton. It's just, it's going to be different, I think.
Yeah, because I was going to say, like, because when we're reading these synopsises of the coming events, there are a lot of new names, so we have to question how many of these characters are actually going to become characters on the show. Like, are we going to get Red Rob Rivers? Are we going to get the Red Fork and the Fish Feed, or will they combine that into one big battle and have it so that Jason Lannister dies at the Fish Feed? Like, how many of these specific individuals who are named throughout this war are going to actually appear on screen? Again, like, a war obviously requires many, many people, but putting this onto a TV show means having to condense. Like, we can't give every single one of these individuals a casting. Some people are going to have... Characters and events are going to have to be combined.
Yep. We'll just have to see.
I have a question. Why do you guys think Silverwing keeps fighting after... why do you think Silverwing keeps fighting after Hugh dies? So we have, I think, the only time we see a dragonless rider go ham, and Silverwing, that's one of the craziest battles where we have 3 out of 4 dragons dead, but Silverwing is riderless.
Vermithor is riderless too.
Sorry, I messed up. I didn't mean Silverwing. I'm so sorry, everybody. I meant Vermithor. That was just a slip of my mind. My question is, why do you think Vermithor riderless thematically? And do you think Hugh lives his second life in Vermithor, and that's why he goes berserk?
No.
Okay, but hey, I'm here to ask questions. It doesn't mean I think that. Stir a conversation.
I hear they hammered it. No, I don't think so. No.
Okay.
But I do think. Oh God, what did you say before that?
Why does Vermithor?
Oh, the riderless. Well, so it's Sea Smoke and Adam attack Vermithor, don't they? I believe that is what happens.
Yes, Silverwing is not in this battle. It's Tessarion, Vermithor, and Sea Smoke.
Correct. And I believe that Sea Smoke attacks Vermithor, and that's how Vermithor gets involved. But we know that Vermithor is just an angry dragon, too, the Bronze Fury. Okay. So, why does Cyrax do what Cyrax does at the Dragon Pit? Like, they kind of go towards the blood and the noise and just get involved. That's what they do.
I just thought if there was like a metaphor in there, like something that I can't think of that's like clever, like.
I just figured it was after Hugh's death, Vermithor is just a cornered animal lashing out.
Right. Yeah, that could be too. That would make sense because we've seen Dreamfire gives a huge roar when Helena
cornered
dies.
Magical beast. But still falling back on the animal instinct, fight or flight at this point.
Or I'm just thinking of season 2. They're painting Vermithor as the most bloodthirsty dragon. In the books, it's Sheep Stealer that kills the most people. But we haven't seen Sheep Stealer kill anyone. I think Vermithor is going to take that over. Like maybe they're just showing different dragon personalities, and Vermithor happens to be the serial killer dragon. That's his personality. Because I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, I think it's Sea Smoke and Tessarion that are fighting, and then Vermithor just smells the blood and just comes and starts fighting them, and that's how they all die.
I don't recall.
Yeah, because I think Adam goes to deal with Daron. Anyways, yeah, that would just be cool story writing to see Vermithor like, I just want to fight. Like Vagar kind of. I just smell blood.
We shall see. I think they're going to play fast and loose with that and tell the story that they want to tell, because it's just such like, bottom line is it's a bunch of chaos. Everyone dies, so you can, as long as you get there, Yeah. A lot they could do. All right, so look, I want to turn to Corlys, Alan, Bela, and Adam. We've already talked about some of this, but there's some stuff we need to get. And then real quick, we've seen many scenes early on with Jace and Bela with a crossbow. I predict Jace's death is going to be accidentally by Bela, like she's flying and tries to shoot someone coming up on him in the sea and hits Jace by mistake. I mean, I think that would be dumb if they did that, but who knows? That's maybe. I don't see any reason for that. Like, it just makes it more awful. I don't see the point myself, but
I'd be entertained by it.
there you go. Nettles will be entertained by it. So, I mentioned the Adam and Alan legitimization. How do you think this will happen, since they're obviously invested in this storyline? Corlys is keeping them at arm's length. Alan's mad about it. Adam isn't. So, and then we know, of course, after Jace dies, Alan eventually marries Baela after the war.
Yes.
So, do they begin sowing those seeds? Do Baela and Alan meet this year? And
they should.
What brings Corlys to want to acknowledge them? Is it after the destruction of Driftmark and High Tide and he has nothing left and he's like, well, I need to solidify my legacy. My true legacy is my sons and not my trinkets. And so, what do you guys think?
I think definitely someone else is going to do it, not Corlys. Like, as far as propose the idea, it has to be someone else. Corlys not going to do that. He could lose everything even after the gullet, and he still won't legitimize them because he already has lost everything, and he still won't legitimize them. So it's going to be someone else that's going to propose it.
Would it be Rhaenyra then? It'd have to be.
Yeah. Anyone.
No one else has the authority.
But I mean, propose it or bring it up, like in a council. It could be someone brings it up and she says yes,
Oh, like Corlys does it. He's cornered into it. Like he doesn't, somebody else says who they are.
Yeah, it's not his idea. He might even still be embarrassed. Whose kids are those?
I don't think so. I think what they're setting up is for Corlys to realize that he messed up and to eventually come to take pride in his sons, and for them to accept it. Maybe even after Corlys dies, then Alan forgives him. But for Alan to take up the seat of House Velaryon, he's got to come. He's not there yet. Like he doesn't want anything to do with that castle and that title. So yeah. I do think it'll be, what they're setting up is for Corlys and Alan to begin to have a real relationship, for Corlys to realize he messed up. So I think this legitimization will be hard earned and very meaningful, and that it will come from Corlys. Tim, your thoughts?
Yeah, because it is one thing I'm questioning is how long is Corlys going to keep going on not acknowledging these guys? But it has to come up. And one thing I thought of that could be the bonding moment for Alan and Corlys would be bringing in the Red Kraken, because there needs to be an envoy that brings the way they're writing things now. Like, I don't think when Dalton Greyjoy comes in, I don't think it could come in the way it is in the books with him meeting with Daemon. I think a good opportunity would actually be for Corlys and Alan to treat with Dalton Greyjoy, because the setup is because after the war, Dalton Greyjoy doesn't stop. Like, when he joins with Rhaenyra's side, it's because Daemon tells him, we would simply like for you to sail against the Queen's enemies. And Dalton Greyjoy is like, okay, cool. That's something I wanted to do anyway. And he sacks Lannisport because the Lannisters get their asses kicked up and down the road this war. But so if they change that to having Corlys and Alan be the ones to treat with him, and Corlys making Rhaenyra's offer of like, hey, this is all you need. Like, the Greens want you to they require you to take the Iron Fleet across Westeros and take on the and break the blockade. You have to do that. All we want you to do is to do what you do anyway. Just don't fly Targaryen banners while you're doing it the way the Blackwoods did when they committed their war.
We might be overlooking the most obvious thing. The chat was pointing this out. Adam and Alan both prove themselves in the Battle of the Gullet. They're both going to be involved. Adam fights with this dragon, and Alan is seemingly moving up the ranks in the Navy, so we know he'll be a major factor there. Perhaps it's just...
Captain?
What's that?
Was he raised to a captain?
I think so. And if he hasn't, he will be. I mean, by the time they fight he's going to be like second in command. We don't know anybody else in the whole fleet, so he's going to certainly prove himself. So maybe it's just after the battle that Corlys is like, yeah, these are good kids. I should, maybe tell someone they're my kids.
It'll be too late, but sure. Sure.
But what I was getting at is that after the war, Dalton Greyjoy never stops reaving. He just continues Dalton Greyjoying, and
Right.
Alan ends up being the one who then has to put him down. So I think it would be great for them, for Alan and Dalton Greyjoy to through Corlys to treat and to meet on good terms, only to then have fall on bad terms at the end of the war. I think would be a great direction to take Alan's character.
Right. So in the books, Sean is mentioning that they they try to maintain this fiction that they're Laenor's kids. That's not obviously going to be the case here. So I think they're heading for a more straightforward. If he's asking them to be legitimized, there's no pretense about Laenor on the show. They have to be his kids. So we will see how that goes, but it's going to be interesting. They've got strong actors in all these roles. They've invested a lot in the emotions of Alan and Corlys and the succession of Driftmark and Baela going, not me. So this will definitely be something that they're leading towards something. In fact, I bet you this would have happened in episode 10 this season, because we would have gotten the Gullet episode 9 and then the aftermath in episode 10. And that would be when Corlys probably would have asked Rhaenyra to make them official Velaryons. So I bet we will see that in the first 2 episodes.
Okay.
And then we talked about Driftmark taking heavy losses. We talked about the fleet sailing to King's Landing. So on the Corlys end of things, again, Rhaenyra orders Adam's arrest in King's Landing when she hears about the betrayal of Hugh and Ulf. And Corlys sends warning, because Adam is at the Dragon Pit. He's the rider on duty at the Dragon Pit. Corlys sends warning so Adam can jump on Sea Smoke, fly away before he's arrested. Then Rhaenyra has Corlys arrested. And by the way, Corlys is her hand. So she's just arrested her hand and imprisoned him. And he's an old man. So you're throwing an old man in the dungeon. In the books, it's a little more played up. But I guess now on the show, he's kind of older. He's got the injury now. He's not nearly as... you should lock the sea snake in jail. But she does that. So
I think she puts him in the black cells.
I think so. So yeah, how is... what do you guys think about that?
Right on. I don't really like Corlys that much. Maybe he deserves a night in the clinker. Think about his decisions. But no, I think that is going to be interesting. Really good story writing because Adam doesn't go to Tumbleton. Why doesn't he go to Tumbleton? And even though he's not at Tumbleton, why is Rhaenyra accusing him of being a traitor? Like, that never made sense to me. And it never made sense to me why Adam wasn't there in the first place. But season 2 kind of answered that, because it shows that, like, Adam is kind of like her little dragon hand, like a hand that has a dragon, because he's the one that's right at her side. I'm going to Harrenhal. Adam, come with me. She didn't say Baela. She didn't say her son. She didn't say any. So I kind of like that Adam is like her most, her dragon hand, like I said.
Devoted to Mariah coming off the top ropes. Corlys is a traitor, I guess.
Yeah. I don't care about no Corlys, but I do care about Adam, and I'm interested to see what they do.
I just figured Adam got into a guilty by association thing after the Hugh and Ulf turncloak. Rhaenyra just like, okay, these bastard commoners turned on me. You're a bastard commoner too. How do I know you're not going to turn on you? Plus, with everything going on in King's Landing, I feel like there should be a scene of Rhaenyra of like the weight of the crown, the paranoia coming in. The whole just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they aren't after you type feel coming from that, and that begins to make her start to side-eye Adam. Like,
yeah,
just it's like guilty by association. That's how I always read it. Why she turned on Adam after
it's definitely a mistake. Adam's done nothing to deserve it. Then he goes and proves himself later. So we know that was a mistake. Devoted to Mariah likes to troll me sometimes. So.
I love Devoted to Mariah.
She's great.
I wish I could hang out in real life.
She seems like she would be a good hang. I agree with that.
But Dark Rhaenyra, I want to see it. Dark Rhaenyra, please. I summon thee to turn on Adam. I want her to go crazy on Adam, because then when Adam stays loyal, that'll just show how amazing he is. The crazier she goes on him, the better the better it is.
Yeah, you. Now that I think about it, you and Devoted to Mariah have a lot of the same energy. I see that. I do. Okay, so,
Compliment.
so like I said, Alan eventually marries Bela. So do you think they meet this year? Because Bela doesn't have anything to do this year, really.
Yeah.
There's nothing for her in Fire and Blood. So whatever they do will be something they made up. So I would think if she maybe is hanging around Driftmark, maybe she's flying support. Yeah, I got to think her and Alan will meet and have some dialogue.
Let's see it.
Yeah.
I want to see Pornhub stuff.
God, no. The way I was thinking, I hope they don't do
Yeah.
it because it's so contrived and I would hate it. But if they have Alan be the one to console Bela after Jace's death, and then they start making out, and I'll be like, don't do this again. But that's what Hollywood loves to do, is that kind of messiness. And it's like,
It's
this
called
is not
trauma bonding, and it's a real thing. I told you this last week. I've done it myself. I'm not exactly
Why?
that way, but
But remember that
Dragon Hub.
Alan is her uncle.
It would be Seahorse Hub.
Seahorse Hub, yes. But yeah, so Alan is her
Do the
uncle.
seahorses,
so,
do they just scissor, or like with the curly cues, do they just curly cue, or how does that?
yeah.
No, the male
males
seahorses give birth, actually, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
weird
it's
as hell.
men.
Yeah.
They just have a very wide buttocks. But so Alan is Bela's uncle. How do you guys feel about that? You don't care?
Oh, that's not even a thing. What are we talking about?
You don't care? Okay. Yeah, it'll be nice.
I mean, I don't approve of it any more than I approve of any of the other incest marriages, but
Okay.
doesn't really move the needle.
Some people just forget, and I'm like, don't forget, it's not just the white people doing the incest. But yeah, they just remind me of Miss Sunday and Grey Worm, kind of. I feel like that's how that's gonna be. That's why I said the Seahorse Hub thing. Like, I want that scene because I messed up.
Someone said they go face to face and they make a heart. So, yeah, the Alan, there's not. So the Alan looks a little older than he is, but no, that there's not much of an age gap.
Yeah, I think he's supposed to be like 25.
Yeah, something like that. Let's see here. So yeah, I do think that they will warm this up somehow. It just makes sense. Maybe give Bela a couple episodes to grieve, per Tim's point. But I'm just saying at some point in the season, because they don't get together until after the end of the war. So I'm just saying.
I want her to cheat. I want her to cheat on Jace, episode 1, just like we saw Allison with Kristen. Open up with Alan, eating the tuna sandwich.
I mean, Alan eventually cheats on her, so I guess fair is fair.
Alan does, right? He goes down to Dorne, right?
Yeah.
He does go down. No, I was talking about something else, but yeah, that too. Okay, he cheats on her at least twice that we know of.
Well, I don't want for
With
Jason
two princesses.
Bela. I think the reason that we never see Jason Bela kiss is because they're close, because they're brother and sister. I think what we're seeing is brother and sister. Because me and my brother have never had a fight in my entire life. We've just always gotten along and just had banter and stuff like that. So I think that's what we're seeing. So I don't know if she was ever in love with Jace. Is it really cheating?
Hard to say. I don't think it's going to happen, probably. As Jace is dying at the Battle of the Gullet, they're banging back at Driftmark. Alan's like, nah, I didn't want to go to battle. You're hot, babe. Screw your boyfriend. Let him die.
We've already seen it. Alicent was banging while her grandchild was dying.
No, that's not Alan. Alan's stalwart. He's true blue and also kind of oppressed and stuff. That's not. I don't see this Alan as being like a wild philanderer necessarily. No. So maybe they'll just probably cut that out. But thank you. That was very entertaining, Nettles. I appreciate you. So let's see. Any of these questions we didn't get to. I was just pointing out when Rhaenyra turns on Adam, Corlys is going to be in a really low place at that point.
Yeah.
So that's going to be dark. Oh yeah, is Alan around? So is this something that could change Alan's character? The burning and sacking of Driftmark. That's like he grew up there on, in the poorer part of town, but like that could be his family or friends that are being killed by the Triarchy. He's going to be trying to defend ostensibly Driftmark and the Valerian forces, and they win the battle, but again, this home city is raided and destroyed. So this could generate some character growth for Alan, don't you think?
Yeah, it could make him, like you said, turn more Valerian. He has to, at the end, become the Oakenfist. So this little sullen boy, I don't want anything my dad has to change into I am my father. So I think this is something that'll make you feel more connected to your roots is when you lose it. You never know what you have until it's gone.
Middle guy is too silent for the past 2 minutes. Middle guy, what do you think?
Middle guy.
Middle guy. I have a name. I don't know what it is, but I have one. Yeah. The burning of Driftmark, yeah. That could be the thing that makes Alan turn. Again, like, it's really weird because it's so unknown what they're going to go with this character because of the way they've written him. Because they've already taken him out from the sowing of the seeds that he was never in. Like, they're taking him in a whole new direction. So Alan's one of those ones that, like, I really don't know where his story's going to go because at this point, everything's all new.
The chat loves your new nickname, Tim. I can't keep a straight
Middle
face.
guy.
You are hereby Chad Middle Guy.
Middle guy.
Chad Middle Guy, non-babysitter of small brothers. It's not my fault, damn it. Told him to stay right here. Oh boy.
God's eye.
We have shaken some things loose in this stream.
I don't think we're gonna get God's Eye in this season.
That's not gonna be this. No.
Well, Adam has to go there before he goes to Tumbleton.
Thank you.
Adam going to the God's Eye. Yeah.
Or I mean, they could take it out, but he has to go there and get like 7,000 men.
So what? Yes. Does Adam get to meet Sir Nunos? Does he have an experience? What are they doing with this in the story? It's a very odd detail in Fire and Blood because Adam doesn't have any ties to Green Seers or Weirwood stuff anywhere else.
Yeah.
He just stops by and takes consult with the Green Men and then amasses an army of the Riverlanders and shows up at the battlefield. So, any ideas? Middle guy, you got anything?
I was looking it up.
This works.
Because I'm blanking on what even drove him to go to the Isle of
We don't know.
It comes out of nowhere from the book.
Kicks,
it says,
giggles.
It literally says Alan goes to the God's Eye to get to get answers from the Green Men. Then he's in the Riverlands and he collects 7,000 to 9,000 men, and he's just at Tumbleton Dew, and that's it.
Maybe
Very random.
They need to create a whole connecting thread then for this to happen.
That's what I'm saying. They're doing stuff with Green Men and Dragon Lords. Some people are saying maybe it'll be Daemon that stops by instead, and they'll just do that. Because it doesn't need to.
Sorry, I was gonna say Daemon already saw Sir Nunos.
Right, so that would just be could be a continuation. Maybe they saw that in the story and were like, "Oh, let's go with this Daemon Greenseer Alice stuff and give this to Daemon and build that into his plot." Because it just, I don't know if Adam is stopping there, then it's kind of like, well, are the old gods just trying to prolong the war or help one side win, or we have to try to figure out like what they're doing? I'm really not sure.
Also, Adam, I just remembered, Adam is at Harrenhal. They could have had him, like, something happened to him at Harrenhal to make him curious about the God's Eye. They didn't do that.
Yeah, they didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so maybe they're not having that then. Or I don't know.
Yeah, because I get that he has to flee King's Landing after the betrayal of Hugh and Ulf. Like, he needs to get away from Rhaenyra. But they never give us why he goes to the God's Eye of all places. There's like no establishment for it.
They could make it work. Damon saw Sir Nunos. It could be that same Sir Nunos that talks to Adam. There's a way to write this, and I think that'd be great. I'd love to see Adam do it himself, but the consolation prize could be Damon. Fine. I'm just done with the Damon and the green scene stuff. I really am.
It's probably going to be Sea Smoke's idea. We know who wears the pants in that relationship. It's definitely Sea Smoke. So,
yeah. I mean, I could definitely see Adam getting to the God's Eye, no problem, on a dragon. Like all of the things that we know of that prevent people from reaching the God's Eye usually are things that prevent them from getting there by ship.
Yeah.
Like the random gusts of wind, the ravens that get sent out. But those things don't really stop a dragon. So, yeah, him getting there is not the problem. It's what makes him go there in the first place. And I really don't know. I think that's something they're going to have to drag George out of bed for and be like, you, explain. Why did he do this? Like, the singers say he did this. What's the reasoning behind it?
the more I think about it, the more I think they're just going to have Daemon stop by. And yeah, it just kind of makes more sense with what they're doing. But who knows? Maybe they'll build that into Adam's plot next season. We'll have to keep an eye on that.
There is a reason that we saw Sir Nunos, because in Daemon's flashback, everything else was stuff we saw in the show Game of Thrones, and the new stuff was Sir Nunos. Why? Like
Right.
that doesn't tie into Game of Thrones. It has to tie into this.
Yeah, they're going to do more with Sir Nunos, clearly. Yeah, I would think so. All right, so that pretty much gets that. We did this Nettles stuff.
Yeah.
Corlys, we talked about. I mentioned Bela, like I said, doesn't really do anything. So how are they going to involve her in stuff? You know, probably with the Velaryon plotline, I would think. So
Yeah.
maybe when Rhaenyra goes to King's Landing, Bela will be an important counselor there. It'll be like Mysaria and Bela and Rhaenyra and Corlys. They'll be
Wasn't
like,
Isn't
Go ahead.
Bela at Dragonstone and taken captured when Aegon takes it? I thought she becomes a captive at Aegon when Larys
Yes.
brings Aegon
Yes.
back out.
correct.
But I don't think the taking. If we're that's the again like what is
That's
the
too
end of
far.
the season? Is it going to be because the
I think-
taking of Dragonstone happens after the first Tumbleton. So it's a question of what are we ending on, Tumbleton or Aegon's return to
Well,
Dragonstone?
and it's one of those black box events. We don't find out about it until Rhaenyra gets there later, and it's already happened. So there's
Yeah.
Aegon is hiding in the fishing village for a while with Lares building back strength, and it's they start sowing the seeds for the taking the fall of Dragonstone. So yeah, Bela would be ostensibly left at Dragonstone when everyone takes King's Landing, I guess, to guard it, and then ends up getting taken eventually. But they might do something different. They really can do anything. I think having her in King's Landing might be interesting. If they want to keep her on Dragonstone, then she could be involved with the Velaryons and Alan and the fleet and stuff, maybe. But
I thought she had the official position of cupbearer. No, at the end of season 1, isn't
Seems
she the one
like
that
it,
pours,
yeah.
She pours the wine, and Rhaenyra kind of nods, like you're supposed to be doing this. Like she kind of nods, like go get my wine because you're the cupbearer.
So devoted to Mariah, I have had Sowing the Seeds of Love in my head this entire stream, and I've been trying to block it out. Thank you. Thank you.
Now
I'm a
it's
big
an
Tears for
outside
Fears
thought.
fan, so.
I guess if Bela's left at Dragonstone, then she might be our eyes on Alfred Broom when he starts undermining everything, when he finally turns cloak.
Alfred Broom is not surviving. He's gone after what he did in the last. No, come on, no. Alfred Broom's gone.
Nettles, Kimberly LaFay is volunteering to be your cupbearer.
Okay, cool.
Devoted to Mariah, I don't know if it's my favorite Tears for Fears song, but I feel like any Tears for Fears song, when you're listening to it, is the greatest song in the world. It's like, it has that feeling of epic goodness. I just love that band. They're so good. And what's great is growing up, I was born in 1980. And so my parents listened to that shit. And I hated 80s music for the longest time because I just associate it with my dorky parents' music or whatever. So it wasn't until 10 years ago that I even discovered the greatness of bands like Tears for Fears. And so I'm like still buzzing on it, kind of, yeah. Anyway. Let's see here. That is pretty much all for that. Yes. And then
there's one more.
What's that?
Damon, Alice. This is my question. Damon, Alice, Aemon. I kind of just listed it how you listed like those names, but like Damon, Alice, and Aemon. What, as far as predictions? Sorry, did we say that we think Aemon will? Yeah, Aemon is on his way. Aemon's definitely going to Harrenhal.
So that's where we're going. That's what's next is Aemon.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss Simon.
What are y'all takes on Aemon? Sorry.
I said I'm gonna miss Simon Strong after what happens when Aemon takes Harrenhal.
So let's just remind everybody. Here's what happens. Aemon arrives. He's mad. Daemon gave him the slip. And he kind of takes out his anger on Simon. He's like, you were too quick to yield the castle to Daemon, and you helped him. And that's true. We see Simon kind of did help Daemon. Not that he had much choice, but he managed the situation, whatever. And so Aemon demands that Simon, he accuses him of treason and demands that he defend himself with a sword. And he sword fights poor old Simon Strong and kills him. Then he executes everybody with strong blood in Harrenhal. Save for Alice Rivers. So, whom he takes as a paramour, and then they start flying around and burning castles in the Riverlands. So, given that we've seen that Alice is Team Smallfolk, genuinely seems to care about the small folk and helping Daemon not do atrocities, this doesn't seem like it's going to work in a straightforward fashion. So first, I guess let's digest the fact that Aemon is going full psycho, going to kill Simon Strong. Everyone's going to hate the shit out of him after that because we love Simon. And so, yeah, that's going to be just awful to think about.
I disagree. First of all, I hope they don't kill Simon. But the last thing we saw in episode 2 was Aemon turning into a lover boy. He didn't dismiss what Helena was saying. He was like listening intently. And I think there's a reason why Daemon saw Aemon in that weird dream. And I know we talked about it but I think the connection is also that Aemon is supposed to be there. I think we might see a switch where Aemon becomes this, maybe Alice is going to see him or is going to show him the trees and everything that happens. And Aemon turns into like, I have to do the bigger picture. And so like we have this conflict of, I'm so sorry. I know I'm going too far, but Aemon and Daemon, their fight, instead of it being like, I hate you, it's like more of like, we have to do this to complete the prophecy.
The problem with that is that they burn all the Riverlands towns. This is what I'm saying doesn't fit with Alice for Aemon to go on the spree of just burning town after town. I mean, it's like 20 towns. He burned Vhagar.
He burned Sharpwood for no reason, just because he saw the Dragon Riders.
But in my rewrite,
child.
Okay, but that's before he talks with Helena. He goes from grabbing Helena, I'm angry, we need the dragons, to sitting there listening, and you see the look in his face, he's absorbing it. She told him that he's gonna die. When someone tells you that you're gonna die, and when you believe them, that has to change you. What I'm proposing is maybe, once again,
you're missing the point.
Who burns the Riverlands? The Maesters might have written Aemon, but what if it was someone else?
It wasn't someone else. He burns like 20 towns with Vhagar, the biggest dragon in Westeros.
Right. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how this could work to be some sort of contrivance.
It doesn't work.
It also doesn't work. It doesn't work to show us that Aemon is changing. Like, what was the point of his scene with Helena?
Look, the Maesters.
We don't know yet.
The Maesters writing.
Hold on. Both of you pause a second.
I'm saying
pause, please. Point. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
This is getting out of control. We're talking over each other. Let's just take it down a second, okay? When all that happened in that scene with Helena and Aemon is that Helena scared the crap out of him. Okay? So he tried to override her with bluster because basically it's like, oh, you're saying I could have you arrested. And she's like, yeah, but I have more scary truths for you. And he's kind of like shaken by that. That's all that I saw. I'm not seeing a big change in Aemon's character from that. He just finally ran into somebody that could put him in check.
So
So,
if you know you're gonna die, you're not gonna move differently.
oh no, I definitely think that will screw with his head, and we should think about how that's going to affect his decision making. My first question is, how is the basic Alice Aemond relationship happen? Because it doesn't seem like the Alice that we know would be on board with massacring all the townspeople in 20 towns throughout the Riverlands.
I agree. That's why I'm confused. I just want to make it clear. I'm not saying definitely. I'm just saying for Alice to be in bed with Aemon, he would have to change like Daemon did. And then I felt like maybe just
Right.
grasping at straws that this last scene we saw in season 2 is the beginning of that change to show
And
that, okay, maybe he can listen to women.
And
And
he's
I
got to
do
do
agree.
too much dark stuff. He needs to massacre all these
Yeah,
people at Harrenhal and burn all these towns. So, Tim, let me get in on this.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I disagree. I don't think Aemond has to change at all. I think after he puts Sir Simon down and after he puts the rest of House Strong to the sword, I think Alice Rivers is just going to go purely into survival mode. And she's just going to capitalize on Aemon's mommy issues. Because
what about
again,
the
like,
pregnancy?
the Maesters writing this book, right? Writing Fire and Blood. The Hightowers are their biggest patrons. They're going to want to downplay as much Hightower atrocity as possible. So the fact that they say, no, Aemon did this, Aemon burned all these, and Aemon is half Hightower means that they found themselves in a position where they couldn't shuffle that off onto someone else. It's so known fact that Aemon did it that they had to include that Aemon did it. Otherwise, they would have tried to push that on someone else. No, Aemon commits these atrocities in the Riverlands. I think Alice is going to see that and realize, I can't do with this one what I did with Daemon, so I need to just do what I can to get out of this. And
I
do
like your
think
story better.
I think she'll
I
be
like
she'll be a forced paramour. And it's just Alice doing what she has to do to survive.
I like what you're saying, Tim. I think it's better story writing if Aemon is, just taking her by force and all that stuff. But we just saw a whole season of Alice reducing Daemon to a pulp. So Aemon should not be a contest for her. Do you really think that as soon as Aemon gets here and she starts feeding him his visions, that he's going to be like, nope, you can't get, I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on and you can't get in? Like, what are Aemon's arms against Alice that Daemon doesn't have?
He's going to break out Keimer's, the Valerian Steel version of the helmet from the Acolyte that blocks out all the thoughts and keeps his brain safe. Yeah,
Maybe
so
it'll just be that. Maybe it could be as simple as Aemon. It doesn't work on Aemon because Aemon's just too basic, and there's nothing special about him for her to manipulate.
well,
Maybe
let's
Alice
think about.
is dark. She could just be dark and she just goes along with Aemon.
I think we could be looking at just a big change, I think is what I'm getting to here. If we're sort of seeing that like this doesn't work as written, something's
Right.
got to give. Either Alice is now taken captive or she's trying to tutor him and then it fails. But how does she ride along with him to burn 20 towns? Like, she's a pretty evil character in the book by proxy because of that. And it just doesn't seem like that's the character they've created. So I'm wondering if maybe she just won't be with him when he's doing all those burnings, but he'll have a couple of interactions with her at Harrenhal.
Do you think that there's a force that we've seen in Planetos that's like a dark force that could take over someone's body and make them do something? Like if she touches a bad tree and the force goes into her and they take over her body and they're doing dark things, no? If she's a vessel, if she's a medium.
I don't think so. I mean, it could be that we misread her and she's not really Team Small Folk. She was just working objectives with Daemon, but it really seemed like she's giving him genuine therapy and helping Daemon through his issues. So that just doesn't fit. Doesn't feel like a villain.
This is a good conversation.
It is. I mean, there's not an easy answer here. It feels like, but they're doing something intentional with Alice, clearly. I'm not sure what it is.
Aemon might just not be fixable at this point. He's a sociopath. There might just be no fixing that, even with magic.
I agree, but my whole thing is that Alice is a worthy adversary for him. Like, I believe that, yes, Aemon is 100% psychopath, no good, and he's stupid, but still, it's like she's a worthy adversary. That's why they showed us her versus Daemon. But it's good. It's good story writing. They did it. They did it. Good story
I'm just not
writing.
sure, like, yeah, it's just the entire Aemond Alice dynamic seems like it has to be different because they've done so, like, they kind of gave that story to Daemon. Like, Daemon and Alice got really close and spent all this time together. In the books, it says Daemon was immune to her charms and he left, and there was really no interaction between them. So, Aemond is going to get Nettles for a girlfriend.
Never. I'm sorry. Can I do a spoiler warning for like past where we're supposed to be going? I just have to ask you guys.
You're fine. Yeah, go ahead.
Here's a spoiler warning if you just don't know anything. Please help me. What do you guys think of the pregnancy then?
Of the what?
The pregnancy. Alice pregnancy.
So that
Aemond.
one seems like, well, first of all, it's a very open question what she's even trying to do as of the end of Fire and Blood. It makes sense, whatever it is, it makes sense that she would take the seed of the dragon prince and like have a magic baby with her. You know, like if you're a witch and you want to have a son, you want to get the best magic blood, I guess, for your son or something like that. So it's some means to power for her, but we don't even know what her objectives are. Tim, do you have any ideas? I'm going to go get Cleo, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not even sure. Because when she's pregnant, I'm not even sure if what she's carrying is actually a child.
It's not a child. It's not a child.
Yeah,
it's a shadow baby or something.
Because she produces a child later during the Regency, when Regis Greaves shows up and the whole head exploding thing happened. There is a kid there, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the kid she gave birth to. It could be another Gaiman Palehair, where a kid who just looks the part. So
the actress says she's 400 years old. There's no way she would be giving, like, that's asking Melisandre to give birth to a live baby. Melisandre can only give birth to shadows. But the reason I asked the question, Tim, is because you said that Alice would just be, which I can agree, maybe that this might be what they write, that she's just in survival mode, where she's kind of just like, Sansa, let me shut down, let me just do what he says so I could survive. But there's no way she would make a shadow baby or allow herself to get pregnant for someone that she fears, or that she's just going along with to survive. That's why I asked about pregnancy.
Okay, that line about the actress that says that Alice is 400 years old, I give no credence to that, because I'm like, where'd you even get that? Where does that even come from? That sounds like something
from the director and the writers, Tim. They're not going to mislead the actors.
Is that something she made up?
I don't think so.
It felt pretty vague to me.
That's something the writers pulled out of their ass. Like,
they did. So
the question, you're deflecting, Tim.
Well, they did the same thing with Melisandre, if you remember. Like, they had her, they told the actress she's 400 years old. I mean, that's just not something that means anything for the books. That's show canon. That's just where we have different canons. Like, obscure magic lore, that's not, like, I don't really take anything
What
from that.
What it means is that if she's 400, she can't give birth to a baby. Like a healthy baby, but she can give birth to a shadow, a dragon. She can give birth to anything else. I'm just saying.
Okay. If someone can live, where do we get the idea that if someone has already lived to be 400, that their womb is no longer viable, but they can give birth to a shadow? Like, again, that's another thing about where are you? Who's writing the rules on this?
Okay, the rules are literally Melisandre. We see her have sex with every man who says yes, and we don't see her get pregnant and give birth to a healthy baby boy. We do see what she gives birth to twice.
Melisandre, if I could,
we also see her drink the Strangler and not do that. So maybe she just I don't know. Maybe it's Avatar rules. Maybe she blood-bended the sperm out of her. I don't know.
Guys, Melisandre is not just extended lifespan. She's turning into a fire other. She doesn't eat or sleep. She consumes fire energy for sustenance. So she's a unique case. We're completely speculating. We don't know how other witches, like maybe Shara Seastar if she's Quaithe, or Alice Rivers, we don't know how they extend their lifespans and what it costs them. I tend to think that Nettles is probably right. After a certain point, I wouldn't expect the womb to work, but
just being a witch. Every time you see a witch,
I don't know.
they have to give up their womb. Like, look at the witch. You have to give up your womb to get power. Only death can pay for life, and magic costs something.
That does
And
seem to be how it works in the story. We see a lot of characters
Right.
giving up children or fertility in order to gain magic power. That is pretty consistent. But
Yeah. I don't
But
get
this is
like,
good
okay,
writing.
so this comment.
look,
rating,
if you hold on, if anybody has a problem with me calling out Order of the Green Hand, I have a solution for that, and it's right here.
Dang.
Did I get the right person? Yes, I did. Sweet. That's the only thing I'm. Sometimes you get it moves fast.
Look, I will never apologize for what I said about them. Okay, I stand by it.
No, they've said horrible things
I
that
dis-
should be
I
derided by all
dislike-
people of good taste and conscience.
I dislike them on a personal level.
Yes.
So yeah, but we will move past that.
We'll move past it. And I want to say that Simon is too smart to be killed. His drip is too strong. I'm just going to your next bullet point. It says, how much will everyone hate Aemon after he kills Simon? No, Simon's going to escape. He might be the only one to escape. His sons, sorry, but Simon gets away. He has to go to Bravosi
I would
Fashion
love
Week.
if Simon got away.
He has to go to Fashion Week.
I think they are going to use this to make Aemond just a real bad dude. I mean, that's if he kills Simon, we're just. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to be awful. Jace and Simon are both going to die in the first half of the season. And
Chat, remember this. In 2 years, either Nettles is right and Simon lives, or David is right and Simon dies. This is really important to me. Please remember, guys.
at the last second, clop, clop, the clip clopping of hooves. The green men rescue Simon, take him to the God's Eye. He deserves it. He deserves it.
I really hope someone remembers. I have a bad memory because of what the green men gave me. But
You know what really clears the mind is one of those Allison handkerchiefs if you have them.
oh my god,
Good hard pull on that and just the vapors, you know. So
there's crabs crawling around that handkerchief.
vapors.
The
Okay.
vapors.
So where are we here? Yes, we are. We pretty much. I don't think we're just gonna have to wait and see on Aemond and Alice. It's a big hanging question. We don't really have a lot to go on. It feels like there's some changes to the story coming, and we don't know what they are. So we've seen, as of the last episode, that Aemond is being roped into the psychic foreshadowing of the God's Eye. So perhaps Helena will continue to have words with him, but he's going to be leaving King's Landing soon. So I'm not even sure.
It's okay. It's okay not to have an answer because the changes of the book, like you said, they combined a lot of the elements that Alice had with Aemond in the book to Daemon. So that really makes it unclear now how the Aemond story is going to unfold because she can't be, she can't, like the way they're written her character, it just seems like she can't fall in love with him and willingly carry a child and willingly go to bed with him anymore. That just doesn't seem to be the road we're taking.
I could see her using him for the child for magical purposes while he's at Harrenhal, but not out of love. No. He's a monster.
I can definitely see her manipulating him, taking advantage of his mommy issues. But other than that, like, no, there's no love going to be involved in it.
You guys think there's no softness in Aemon? Like all the scenes we've seen of soft Aemon are just.
I mean, he's got a pretty hard shell around it, you know?
Because what's the point of him with a sex worker?
No, I think you're right. I do think it foreshadows Alice being able to manipulate him. That's why I said I don't see an issue with, like, them having a tryst. It just wouldn't be well-meaning. It would be Alice manipulating him for a reason, which is really what was going on with Daemon, too. It's not like she has a crush on Daemon.
Yeah.
So.
I wish they would have just made Alice dark. Because in the first half of the episode, we thought that she was going to try to poison Daemon. And it was just like halfway through that, we realized, oh, she's
awfully good for a witch.
Yeah.
Yes.
They would have kept her dark. That would have been really cool. Because then, then it's the Night's Queen and Aemon at Harrenhal.
I mean, it is fun. It is funny, right? The way when Damon shows up and he won't eat the meat and he won't eat the peas because he's so sure that Strong's poisoned it. But as soon as Alice hands him a cup and says, "Put this in your mouth," he knocks it back without question. So there definitely is something to her manipulativeness that happened. Or maybe Damon's just that, or I don't know, maybe just something about a witchy woman handing it to you makes it different.
So maybe here's a different... Oh, sorry, Tim, go ahead.
I was just to say, when a goth girl tells you, like, here, drink this, it's like, I get it. I get why you did that, Damon.
So maybe another way to approach this whole question with Aemond and Alice is to think about what is Aemond's motivation for just deciding to fly around and burn castles in the Riverlands, because he's kind of abandoning the green cause here a little bit. He's not in touch with anybody. He doesn't fly in support of Kristen's army. He just starts burning things, trying to lure Damon out. So it seems like, is the motivation just about his vendetta with Damon? They haven't really built that up in the show. Like, what's his vendetta? He kind of wants to be like Damon, and they rub each other the wrong way. Like, what's the... I don't know. Like, is something to do with Alice Rivers and Aemond being afraid of his own fate? Are these things that might drive his motivation? Like, what is his motivation while he's flying around just terrorizing the Riverlands?
Does Helena say he's going to die in the God's Eye, or does she say you're just going to die? I forgot. Does anyone have the exact quote?
No, in the God's Eye, she says. Yeah, yeah.
That is interesting. I would never go to the God's Eye because I'm one of those people who, if you tell me how I'm going to die, I'm going to go the opposite way. So what drives him to go to the place of his death? It's either he doesn't believe Helena, she's like, whatever, and he goes, or something else.
Well, that's like the weird thing with those types of prophecies is there's always seems to be like this circular reasoning that makes it that makes it inevitable. Not like, again, going back to the Macbeth, like to these theatrical things, you got like Macbeth and Oedipus seem to be like the two big things they were doing with Damon. But in those stories, Macbeth does everything he can to make sure the prophecy comes true. Whereas Oedipus does the opposite. He does like what you said, Nettles, where he tries to do everything he can to prevent the prophecy from coming true. Only his actions in trying to prevent it just end up confirming it and making it happen. So it always seems like when it comes to these prophecies, like no matter, like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like the end is just inevitable.
But why would Aemon go to his death? Or you think he just thinks it's inevitable, so he goes anyway? Is that what you say?
I think if they try and make it so that Aemond is running away from his death, they're going to write it so that circumstances push him there anyway, just in the way that Oedipus Rex is pushed into circumstances that make the prophecy that he was trying to avoid still come true in the end.
So you're saying he's going to go somewhere else and accidentally
what if the dragon fight doesn't start at Harrenhal? What if it starts somewhere else and Vhagar's like chasing Caraxes and then they fly over towards the God's Eye or something?
Tragic.
I don't know why you would change that dramatic moment when he lands at Harrenhal with Vhagar and they have the little showdown and then they leap into the sky. I mean, that seems pretty great for TV, so I don't know why you'd change that. But
yeah. The issue is, I don't think Helena should have said how Aemon was going to die because it doesn't make sense for her. It's okay that Damon knows, but are we just now going to tell every single character that they're going to die and how?
I've got an eyebrow raised about it. I tend to think that probably Aemon is arrogant enough to think that he can defy fate.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let's go with that. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
So,
but the things with these, it's all roads lead to Rome. No matter which way you go, you just end up getting there.
Oh, wait.
I think that's what happened.
What do you guys think about Aemon and then Dagger? Does the dagger fall in a pit of fire and he picks it up and reads something?
Okay. If he's got the dagger and Helena's telling him stuff, he now is in the window of potentially learning about something. Yeah, he can read High Valyrian too. So if he did heat it up, he would read it. Be like, "What's all this prince that was promised?" Shit. Yeah, maybe. That's a good idea. That could begin to explain a more mystical motivation plot line for Aemond.
They've set something up. And I'm excited to see.
All right,
Kristen.
that makes sense. So Kristen Cole.
Yeah. Oh,
So
that's
Kristen-
yeah.
Go ahead,
sorry.
Tim.
I was just gonna. Oh, sorry. I just remembered because I remember. We've seen this before with Maggie the Frog and Cersei. Maggie the Frog tells her future. Cersei will try to do things to prevent that. What Maggie the Frog told her, but they're inevitable, and they just end up happening anyway. So it's not like this is uncharted water on how this might happen. Where if Aemon tries to avoid his death, it still just ends up happening.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Sorry, Clea was nibbling on my finger a little bit. Sorry. She was like half biting. It's like, what are you doing? All right. So Kristen wins the Battle of the Red Fork, which is the first fight that we'll see if they follow the books. She's got some new feathers. That's what's going on. She wants to be pet, but she's got
Is
the
that like
sensitive.
teething?
What's that?
Is it like teething when they get new feathers?
So the way the feathers grow out is they grow out with a little waxy encasing. So they just like a little spear. And then once they get long enough, initially there's blood flowing up the stem of the feather when it's growing. So they're sensitive then. Once it's tall, there's no longer blood flowing through it and the casing dries. And they like you to like sort of help flake it off so that the feather can unfurl. But when they are new, you don't want to do that. So sometimes you're just petting them, and if they have a lot of new feathers, they'll be like kind of reactive. They'll like nip you, be like, "No, not that one. Now pet me. No, not that one. Now pet me." Anyway,
That's
yeah, sorry. Where were we? Kristen Cole, handkerchief. That's right. Okay. Smelling salts. It's like smelling salts. Brings me right back to the topic. So Kristen wins the Battle of the Red Fork, which is the initial battle against the Riverlanders, but then loses at the Butcher's Ball as he's trying to march south, like we talked about earlier. And he's killed by Roddy the Ruin and some other Riverlanders whose names Tim will know and care about, but most of us don't. So there's no final duel for Kristen, as we said. Now, in the books, Gwaine Hightower is completely different. He's second in command at the City Watch. He's in King's Landing. Now he's Kristen's foil on the road, kind of. And they're having these discussions and things about war and depression and screwing the Queen Dowager and all that stuff. So, seems like maybe Gwaine and Kristen will be around each other when this ending happens at Butcher's Ball. Will there be some dialogue there? Will the handkerchief come back into play somehow, or this sort of Gwaine being offended about Alicent? And I don't know. Will Roddy the Ruin just be Cregan?
I think Gwaine will try to save Kristen to show that, now Gwaine believes in Kristen so much, he's going to stand in his place and get killed first. And then we see Kristen get his arrows. But that third bullet you put, no final duel for Kristen. What I think is interesting is like in the books, I hate Kristen so much. When I read that, I was like, no, I needed him to be tortured. Like, he has to pay for being the kingmaker. He started all of this. He has to pay for what he did for Rhaenyra. But in the show, because they've showed me PTSD, Kristen, I don't want that anymore. So that third bullet that says no final duel for Kristen, I'm at peace with that. I'm like, yeah, leave the guy alone. Give the guy his handkerchief. Quick death. That's enough.
So the joke is that Gwaine's going to be about to save him as he's dying, but then he looks at him and he pulls out the handkerchief and takes one last step and goes.
Charlie's Angels. Remember Charlie's Angels? There's the guy that would pull the hair and sniff it. Someone in the chat will know.
I'm
Charlie's
sure.
Angels.
So do you think Roddy the Ruin will be Cregan, or will they have Roddy the Ruin? Middle guy?
I mean, if they give Roddy the Ruin Cregan's, as long as we get "I Will Have No Song Sung of You, Kingmaker," I'll be fine with it. But yeah, the idea of Gwaine like stepping in to try and save Cole, like, nah. I think I like that Kristen Cole gets an unceremonious end. Not everyone can go out in a blaze of glory. And I think it's great, actually. I think it's true to real war that Kristen Cole goes out like that, challenging him to one-on-one duel and them saying no. It's because it's the same thing. The same thing happens in the Mystery Night when Daemon Blackfire Jr. does the thing to Bloodraven, and Bloodraven's just like, no, snaps his fingers, arrest him. Like, sometimes that's just how things go down. And we need to see that. Like, not like, it's something that I feel like TV shows don't do, because and I get it, TV shows want everything to be big and heroic and actiony and climactic and all that, but it's like, no, sometimes things just fizzle out, and that's the way Kristen Cole's goes out, and I hope they stick true. I want them to stick true to that.
Sean, Hero with 1,000 Voices, says that one of his 1,000 voices is Roddy the Ruin, and he's ready to deliver the line, "We're here to die for the Dragon Queen." So he will be upset if they cut him, but we'll see. All right. And yeah, so I think that about covers it there. So here's some interesting stuff. Otto, Alicent, Tyland, and Jasper Wilde. We mentioned Rhaenyra takes King's Landing, executes Otto and Ironrod, who's Jasper Wilde, imprisons Alicent and tortures Tyland for the gold, because apparently Lannisters are like leprechauns. They are. Tyrion's leprechaun. But Alicent makes a plea to Rhaenyra to split the kingdom. They already kind of used that. But she's also pleading for her to show mercy on her sons. And they've already burned that bridge. We know Alicent doesn't care about her sons. They have penises, and they're worthless. So they'll contrive something else for them to argue about, right?
Yeah. None of this, the first three bullet points can't happen. So what do you think happens? Is Alicent with Rhaenyra's crew? Did we see Alicent leave Dragonstone in that last episode?
No, she's there to get arrested.
Huh?
She's there to get arrested.
Alicent?
Yeah.
Is going to be in King's Landing to be...
Yeah.
because we did see her leave, right?
Yeah. Remember, she was like, I'm going to open the gates for you and all this stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Why would they arrest her? Why would she arrest her? That's her bestie now.
Because they're not besties, actually.
Okay.
That ship has sailed. They're enemies. They're almost lovers to enemies. It's a different arc.
She gave her first begotten son up and wants to open the gates. That's besties in wartime. If you go give up your son,
but then Rhaenyra was like, "Nah,
it's not going to happen. No Aegon, no deal. Aegon's gone."
Exactly.
Alicent doesn't know that Aegon's gone, but Aegon's gone. Car gone.
So she won't have what she promised, so she will be imprisoned.
I think Alicent can convince her that I didn't know anything about it, and she would believe her.
I think we hit it with the Leia. She's going to get the Leia treatment, chained up to the throne, just like Jabba the Hutt. We got this.
I would love that.
Solved.
But I'm sorry, I have to go off what they've been showing me, and they keep showing me that Alicent and Rhaenyra keep having these secret meetings to enforce that their friendship is friendship or loveship is the strongest thing in this world. And if Alicent cries to Rhaenyra, Rhaenyra will believe her. And if Rhaenyra cries to Alicent, Alicent will believe her. From when Rhaenyra told Alicent that I didn't sleep and she believed, to when Alicent came and said sorry, and Rhaenyra was like, "Yeah, that's cool."
Oh, there's going to be all kinds of shenanigans. The point is that Alicent will be... I don't think
she's going to imprison her.
She will.
Okay.
She definitely will.
We'll see. This is the fun part.
Yeah. I say she will, but I bet it'll be like you'll be jerking her around. It'll be like, put her in jail, bring her back up, let's talk. I'll go down there to talk. She'll come up here to talk. They're going to talk every episode. So we'll probably get like every iteration.
Oh, yeah. Constant floundering. I think that'll happen.
Hang on. Cleo,
no.
Why does So, Otto's execution. Maynard James Plum had the brilliant idea. Could the beheading of Otto perhaps be done at the Sept of Baelor and feel like an echo of Ned's beheading? And wouldn't that be an interesting twist?
Well, the Sept of Baelor hasn't
There's
been.
there's no Sept of Baelor.
So it wouldn't be the Sept of Baelor, but it could be some different steps, and it would still be some.
Baelor himself
Yeah.
hasn't been born yet.
Okay,
What is
that's
the
true.
magical-
That's true. Okay. Fine.
It could be.
It doesn't
It could
work,
just be in the Red
Dave.
Keep.
Doesn't work. Okay, but the parallel could still exist without the Sept of Baelor. That's the point.
Yeah, in front of the throne that Otto loves so much, just right there in the Red Keep, right there, is good enough.
Hate
Why
my
isn't
theory.
Tylan killed? Tylan saves the day, doesn't he?
Yeah, they torture him, but they don't kill him, and then he comes back around and serves on the small council in the future when he's all eyeless and.
Yeah. He's not that
'Cause they
guilty. That's why I don't think. Why would you kill that guy?
Because they think he knows where the money is, so they want to dangle him over a bridge by his ankles. Just go, where's the money? Where's the money, you mother? Where's the money? Like that's why they torture Tylan.
Yeah,
And then
I was
we're-
just curious why he's kept alive. Like after he doesn't know, like why don't they just kill him? Like he's kept alive for some reason. I don't know, but
Doesn't
that
he
could get
come
dark.
and break the blockade from the Triarchy? So I'm saying he comes and saves the day.
yeah, initially, yeah. Yeah.
So that's why he's So he can get some points. I love your fourth bullet, epic Alicent. Why can't we be girlfriends speech coming? We'll see.
Yeah, I mean that's all the stuff we just hit, but yeah, exactly it. Like, just like the
Oh, I
tension.
thought you meant romantic girlfriends.
They look when they were in different places, they went to great lengths to have them get together. Now they're going to be in the same place, so there'll be no shortage of. Can we
need to
still?
sneak-
Is it too late? Can we just sneak off and be lesbians together? Just forget all the whole world, leave it behind? No, we can't. Unfortunately, should have done that a long time ago. Before anybody got married.
I love Maynard James Plum, but no way an auto beheading could ever echo Ned. What do you mean?
We'll see, but that's the interesting idea is that Otto is a less reputable person than Ned. So it creates an interesting parallel because he's not Ned, precisely that. Yeah.
Oh, an
It's like
echo,
Otto-
not a parallel. Oh, sorry, it's my comprehension.
It's kind of like, I guess,
as
an
parallel,
inverted
but-
parallel. I don't know. I mean, you could parallel characters that are still morally different, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, Otto's bad, but he's not the worst. You know, that's not the worst by a long shot.
Well, in
Otto
any
got
case,
what-
I guess I skipped over the initial thought, was just that, like, this better be some kind of epic scene because the actor is so great and we've gotten such good Otto stuff similar to Kristen Cole. Like, these epic death scenes are kind of what this story is about. Most of these characters die. Rhaenyra's death is epic. Jace's death is like Daemon and Aemon's death epic as hell. Like, this is what we're here to do, is to see these great tragic moments of these people going out. So, like, what kind of speech is Otto going to give? Is he going to be in the
Yeah.
black cells haranguing somebody on the day before he's executed? Like, they got to give us some more good red meat for Rhys.
Please, don't waste this actor. I have a question for you guys, but do you want to read the super chat first?
Oh, just Gettysburg follow up. It's just a joke about
okay.
Pickett. I chuckled at it. Go ahead.
My question is, it's kind of like an ending question, but is there anyone, initially I just want one answer, but I'll give you guys two because I like you guys. Is there anyone you think they will keep alive that died in the books? Thinking about Laenor. So even if it doesn't make sense for the plot, like keeping Laenor alive really screwed with the dragon lore plot. But it doesn't matter. They still did it.
It didn't.
So
at all.
what I'm
What do you
so
mean?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Your answer could be anyone, even if it doesn't make sense. Is there anyone that maybe you would like to see kept alive, or you think the show has been hinting? Anyone you want to keep? You don't like anybody? Simon,
It's not that-
Otto. They
It's
could
not
keep
that I
Otto.
don't like. It's not that I don't like anybody. I just think that, like with Laenor, leaving them alive creates more problems, and stop creating more problems. We already need to rein this story in.
All right.
I can't really answer open-ended questions like that. Like, I really don't know. If you asked me a specific question about a
Yeah.
character, I would be able to say
Yeah.
what it would mean for them to live or die, but I don't really. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. All right, Simon Strong.
Hugh. Hugh.
Simon Strong.
Hugh
If
the
Simon
Hammer.
Strong got away, I'd be totally cool with it because he's so
about-
damn likely.
Hugh
David, what
can't
about-
because Hugh's going to
about
claim
you?
the throne. Once he claims to be king, he either needs to die or sit the throne. I mean, that's how that goes. So
What if he doesn't claim? Okay, we'll see. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't have to make sense. But, okay.
I
Maybe
try to
next-
say things that make sense usually.
I would like things to make sense.
But
very much
Laenor
appreciate-
being alive doesn't make sense. That's what I'm saying. You can't go with what you would do. You have to
Do
go
you
with
just
what
want
the
to talk
show-
about Laenor then? Is that what you're trying? Is that what you'd like to
No,
do?
I'm just saying that, like, just to give you guys permission to just maybe say, I really like this character, and if they would have lived, this would have happened, and like,
I'm asking you. Is there somebody that did you ask the question because you have somebody you want to talk about?
oh, not really. I just think of questions, not answers.
Well, then, okay.
But maybe, yeah, because I want to know what you guys think. I like your brains, or the chat. The chat might say something. And this is what I'm here for: conversation. But I could see, but even though I said it as a joke, I could see them leaving Hugh alive because they don't have to make him a betrayer. They don't even have to. Has Hugh ever uttered the word "I want to be king"? They don't even have to do any of that. They could put all of that on one character, Ulf.
I don't
And,
see
like,
why
I'm
they
just
would
saying-
because he looks like a damn king and he rides Vermithor. Like everything is there set up for him to claim a crown. I
To think that
see.
he's better than. But even though it's there to set up, it doesn't mean that he's going to take it. Like, they keep showing us that the person who doesn't want it is. But whatever. I'm just throwing things out there.
You can't keep a dragon rider alive because that screws up too much because like all the dragons and dragon riders end up dying so that they aren't around in the future. You can't just have Hugh Hammer chilling.
Vermithor can die. Sometimes the dragons die and then the but whatever, it doesn't matter. I wanted this to be fun but I didn't. Yeah, nothing's concrete enough for this to be like.
Can we talk about Helena now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me see if there's any super chats I missed. No, we are up to date. Okay, so Helena is imprisoned with Alicent, who was imprisoned in Fire and Blood, and will probably be imprisoned also, or maybe not. Anyways, Helena is there too. She hears about the death of Maelor, who doesn't exist, and that traumatizes her. She leaps to her death a few days after the God's Eye, which is seems like they would link her death to the God's Eye, given what we saw last episode. She'll be psychically aware of it. I'm not sure why that would cause her to commit suicide. She doesn't care anything about Aemond or Daemon, so they'll probably invent something different.
Well, isn't it like open-ended whether or not she jumped or if somebody pushed her
Yes,
or threw her?
of course. And then there's Dreamfire's roar that shakes the dragon pit when she does die, and Dreamfire snaps 2 of her chains, and that comes in later during the storming of the dragon pit because Dreamfire then snaps the other 2 and gets loose. And there are rumors that Mysaria drove Helena crazy by tormenting her about the death of her children. That obviously doesn't fit the Mysaria on the show. So what the main question with Helena is, what's going to cause her to commit suicide if she does that? Or if it's foul play, then who would be the culprit?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it would have to be foul play because without Maelor, if they wanted to take her down the grieving mother road, they would have had to do that after Blood and Cheese.
Exactly.
But they didn't. So without Maelor being the trigger,
Correct.
then I would suspect it's foul play and somebody pushed her.
We're seeing a very strong.
Oop, sorry.
Oh.
Amber, severe
Oh,
flash
no.
flood and shit.
I thought
Okay.
Tim started cussing and he had a high-tech beeping like, oh, Tim.
No. We've had thunderstorms and flash flood warning for my area.
Very good.
What I wanted to say is they're showing us a very strong Helena. Helena is almost like superhuman Hulk strength because she loses her head sawed in front of her. That's fine. Mother chink. That's fine. Actually, I can even in my grief, I can relate to small folk. Like everything that life tosses at her, she's like, that's fine. So I don't think it would be smart to go the route of grieving mother. I'm just so sad. I'm gonna kill myself. I think it has to be some sort of foul play because of what they've shown us. Helena's looking Aemon. Everybody in the country is scared of Aemon, including Daemon and Rhaenyra. And she's looking at Aemon in his eye and being like, I'm not scared of you, not phased. You can't make me tremble. So
some
yeah.
people mentioned that they were afraid they were going to do Helena's suicide there, but it was going to be Aemon pushing her. Which kind of would have made sense.
I would have loved it.
But they didn't do that, so now there's got to be something different that comes around to cause it. And she's not... It would make sense if she got into a psychic battle with Alice, kind of, but we're kind of working together on Daemon in that dream, so even that doesn't really make sense. So I'm
foul play. Foul play, or she lives.
But if it is foul play, then who's the culprit?
Aemon. I'm just tossing out names.
He's not around though. He's not around.
I know, but his last wish.
Someone on the Kingsguard, maybe?
Someone who thinks that they're doing Rhaenyra a favor, just like people thought they were doing Robert a favor by killing Aegon and Rhaenys, right? So someone's like, "Hey, I'm trying to get promoted. I took out Helena. Look."
Maybe. It's then one of the new rat catchers. It's hard to say. It really is. I'm not seeing an obvious culprit.
She lives and goes to the God's Eye. She lives and goes to the God's Eye.
Yeah, chat's saying Larys, which if Larys is doing his whole playing both sides thing, he's going to have to do something to try and ingratiate himself to Rhaenyra, because he's been so much firmly on the greens.
But that wouldn't ingratiate herself to Rhaenyra, because Rhaenyra has sympathy for Helena. We've seen that.
But yeah, it doesn't matter. It's because Larys doesn't have a gauge. Remember with Alicent? He thought that Alicent was asking him to go and kill people. She's like,
Larys isn't trying to ingratiate himself with Rhaenyra. That never happens.
Later, I mean, like if he does whatever he does to Helena to ingratiate himself with Rhaenyra doesn't have to want it or order it. He's doing it as a pretense.
No, they're not in the same place. They're not in. Larys is with Aegon on Dragonstone. He's not in King's Landing when Rhaenyra takes it.
I was just going off the chat saying it could be Larys that either orders.
I know, and I'm saying it doesn't really fit. That doesn't fit, and there's no reason for Larys to try to order the assassination of Helena. That doesn't do anything. So, like, I'm not seeing an obvious motivation there. I mean, if anything, Larys seems to be on Team Aegon, and that's Aegon's wife, and she's done nothing to anyone.
They could change the timeline and have Helena's death be further along, maybe after Aegon's death.
I think it will be a suicide, and I just think it'll be related to like the psychic stuff. Maybe she'll just like go mad and see some crazy stuff, or just get really sad when she sees everybody dying, or
what's the lady who Varamir Sixskins?
Thistle.
She could pull a Thistle. Someone's trying to mess with her. She's trying to fight. Sorry, she loses psychically, and now she has to do what Thistle did.
Yeah, I don't know who that would be, though.
Alice. She loses against Alice.
I guess, but like I said, they didn't really set up them to be rivals. They showed them like working together.
Yeah, they never set up Alice to ever leave the Riverlands.
They set up a psychic link between Alice, Daemon, and Helena. Or I guess it's not Alice, but it's... I'm just saying, Helena was all the way in King's Landing and linked to Daemon, who has Alice next to him. So, and if Alice turns dark, or if whatever that makes her go along with Aemon, and she has this psychic fight with Helena loses, then she kills herself.
I feel like a lot of these changes have just created so many problems the more we discuss it.
I don't think they're problems. I think they're conversations. It's cool. So many things could happen now. Versus if
Well,
she
we're
liked
having
her-
trouble coming up with any sort of answer.
But the thing is, we're having trouble coming up with answers to these problems that the writers have created because of
I
the things they
know.
cut.
But the silver lining, though, is is that it's not predictable. At least we're not sitting here going, "Oh, they showed us Helena doing this, so we know that this is going to happen, and we know that this is going to happen." That wouldn't be fun. If
No,
we could
I'm
really
definitely
cut it-
curious. I'm just curious. That's why I said I think I don't really see a motivation for anyone killing Helena. So I think it's more likely to be some sort of psychic overload thing. We've seen that she can get overwhelmed with stuff. I'm just not sure what that thing is going to be. Witnessing the God side doesn't really do it because she's not emotionally invested in Aemond.
Nope. And she's seen it already. Why would that cause her to kill herself if she already knows it's going to
Yeah.
happen? But that's why I'm the opposite of you. I think it can't be her killing herself because they did too much to show us that she's strong. Yes, we see her being overwhelmed and we always see her overcome it. Why are they showing? They could easily have showed us
I don't
the
disagree.
simper
I don't disagree.
Helena, like, oh, why didn't they? Yeah, but we'll see.
Stop putting out bad vibes. No, she dies in the book. That's what happens in the book. It's not vibes. It's what happens.
Who said I'm putting out bad vibes?
No, somebody in the chat, just because we're talking about her committing suicide. Like, that's what she does in the book. So it's not like something we came up with. Could the discovery of Alicent's betrayal push her?
No. Nothing will push her. Aemon burning her husband did nothing to phase her. So now Alicent trying to save her life is going to do something?
Yeah, I agree with you.
This girl is strong. It's just hard to conceive, but anybody who can overcome those things is iron-willed.
Yeah, they've definitely, like, her being overwhelmed by her psychic stuff was more of a season 1 thing. She does seem a lot more in control of it now. So
Yeah, I'm not saying Helena is weak. I'm just saying whatever they need to do needs to it needs to be plausible and it needs to make sense. That's all I'm requesting. But I guess when has Hollywood ever cared about that when you can have cool explosions? I don't know.
And it doesn't make sense that Mysaria would have ill intent towards Helena. So
It could be an accident, slip and fall, or like I said, runs away to Essos, like Alicent's trying to get her to. What if that's the change? That Alicent's successful in getting her away.
that would be pretty cheesy.
That's the plan. That's literally the plan right now.
It would be
It's for
funny
Helena
if
to run
she's
away.
out there on the patio seeing visions and she just accidentally steps off the edge, just like
Slips.
like Wile E. Coyote. All right, so there's got a couple other questions about Helena, which is, will there be Rhaenyra Helena interactions? Perhaps. Could they talk? Will Helena confront Rhaenyra about the future, or about prophecy, or anything like that? That could be interesting. And then Alicent and Helena in captivity together could be interesting. They could start talking about. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff for them to talk about, frankly. So I was just thinking about what kinds of scenes we could get and what could interesting interactions be. So I thought of Rhaenyra and Helena, and then, Alicent and Helena comparing notes in captivity or chained up in the throne room or whatever the hell,
Alicent, Helena. I'll have to come back to Helena. Too many.
Because
she
Rhaenyra has this faith, right? She's like moving on intuition and all this stuff. So I just think there could be an opening for Helena to confront her, be like, is it all worth it? The same way she did with Aemond. Like, is it worth it? Are you safeguarding the realm? Was that what your father told you? I don't know. It just could be something there.
I want to see it. Any Helena. They're sisters. The fact that we haven't seen them even but I know they weren't raised as sisters. So.
Well, but that's another reason that I brought it up is because they have a lot of characters that should have interacted and haven't.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Let me see if there's any supers that I missed. There's a couple. Yeah. Could the discovery of Alicent's betrayal push? Okay, we talked about that. Go ahead, Tim.
This Jensen, sorry if I butchered your name. I think they were trying to send a super chat and something screwed up. So if you want to type the question you meant to do that in the chat, we'll try and pick it up. We'll be on the lookout for it.
Word. Thank you, Tim. And then with our Aegon and Lary's BFFs forever, we talked about this. They're sneaking off to Dragonstone, the fishing village, and they sort of begin to coordinate the eventual downfall of the castle. Sunfire returns to Aegon on Dragonstone. So, Adventures of Clubfoot and Egg. What are they doing all season? These are good actors. We know they're going to give them stuff to do. So, what will they be doing? Oh, and that was another Helena question. What kind of visions could she be seeing also? I guess let's go back to the Helena one, and then we'll do the Aegon one. So Helena right now is seeing a lot of what's going on in real time. She already saw some stuff in the future that she's been drawing. So maybe something that she will see will be part of what freaks her out. But I don't have any specific ideas, really. Do you? Come here.
Honestly, we've seen enough visions. Okay, I hope we don't see anymore. I don't want Helena telling anyone else how they die. We've set the story up. This is great. Good job, HBO. You've set the story up. Now let's just see the plot carry out. Helena had a part to play, and I think that was in season 2. And I wish they would have done more with her. But now it's like, no, there's no other visions. We just need to go through. In the beginning, did you see how many battles? It's almost like season 3 is going to be every episode a battle. Honeywine, or if it's not a battle, at least some sort of one-on-one, something. We have to get through a lot. And I don't think they're going to sit here and show us Helena's visions when we have 7 battles or something to do in a season.
Yeah,
Sorry.
The main thing I think of is something having to do with Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra's the one who is thinking about existential, long-term stuff. So anything that Helena might see would maybe have something to do with Rhaenyra. That's what I would look to. But is Aegon in coordination with anyone outside of Dragonstone? In the books, it sort of seems like they're just incubating there, him and Larry. So are they in touch with anyone? Are they doing anything? Are they going anywhere?
I think it's too dangerous. Lay low.
Yeah,
Tim, what do you think we'll see from those two guys? They got a whole season of just hanging out there. So what are we going to see?
Yeah, because when they reach Dragonstone in the book, Larys disguises Aegon as like a small folk, like a fisherman, and tries to sneak him around. And we know that eventually they will get into contact with Alfred Broom, because Alfred Broom will have his heel turn when that moment comes. But yeah, I think on their way there, it's probably just going to be laying low as best as they can until they're able to get to Dragonstone.
I do need a slight break.
Go for it. That's why she says, I forgive you. Who says, I forgive you?
Helena. Helena says, I forgive you to Alicent.
And what's that in connection with?
Jaehaerys is the blood and cheese incident when she came in and her and Kristen Cole were having sex.
No, but why did she say that's why? I forgot the conversation we were having when she said that.
Oh.
Helena's death, whether it's accidental or I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That could tie into so that super chat that didn't go through, I copied and pasted their comment. Helena's death could be a fall, trying to escape someone or something. That's plausible in in all of the commotion of things happening. Helena's death being a legitimate accident. I know we've been talking about all these misunderstandings, but if it is just a legit, like, this is war. If this is just like a legitimate accident that happens, that could very well be it.
So why are we bringing up the issue of Helena forgiving Alicent? What's that in reference to? That's what I'm waiting to see from the chat. I'm not sure. Helena Bitterbridge, Alicent sends her away.
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to work in this context, because without Maelor, we wouldn't be getting Bitterbridge.
I think Alicent and Helena will be in a really bad spot, and Alicent will think they're about to die, and she will push Helena as an act of mercy.
Yeah, I like that. I'm sorry,
I
I was
don't like that.
overhearing. I was trying to hurry up because we think that Helena is saying, "I forgive you" to Alicent for what just happened, as far as Jihadless, but she's saying it, and it doesn't have to be that Alicent pushes her in front of her. Maybe it's just another accidental thing that
I
Alicent is
don't like
making it
that one.
feel.
I don't buy that. I think that that was a straightforward line. She was forgiving her for the thing that was going on in that season, not something that's going to happen 2 seasons away. But I get the idea. I don't buy it. We'll see.
I'm with you, Ren Fair. Shoot, any spice? Give me the spice.
Thank you for the super chat, and you got Nettles. But yeah, I just pushing someone off a ledge isn't really merciful. That's not a nice way to die. So I don't really see that. Don't really get that.
Could Jaehaera...
But I don't have an answer. We don't. So we'll see.
Someone's asking like if Jaehaera could suffer Maelor's fate at Bitterbridge, but that, see, doing that opens up even more complications again down the road because of what's supposed to happen to her character.
We don't need a kid to die at Bitterbridge. Like
Yeah.
that does not have any plot relevance. It just
They're saying for Helena to become the grieving mother,
It's just like
just for her to kill herself.
yeah.
there's just so many points where you just can't substitute one character for another because of the butterfly effect that it's going to have.
Tim, why do we need Jaehaera when we have Daenerys? If we want to simplify the story for film, I would get rid of Jaehaera too, and just.
I mean, I don't think we're even going to get that far.
I know.
Even with
I know,
the
but
season.
I'm just saying we don't need Jaehaera to live.
Like, I don't think we're going to get the Lysine Spring.
So are they going to have Aegon and Lares not make it to Dragonstone immediately, and they're just on the road, adventures of Clubfoot and Egg, like I said?
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes, we need a lot of time. We need a whole season. We need a whole season.
I thought I got all the super chats. I'm being told that I missed some. Oh, well, just came in. They won't show Egg. You just sent that, bro. Come on. Don't tell me I missed it when you just sent it. Come on. Give me a sec.
Oh.
They won't show Aegon at Dragonstone until Rhaenyra dies. We were just talking about that. That's what made me say maybe they'll stall and do some other stuff before they get to Dragonstone, perhaps. But the thing is, when Rhaenyra shows up, Aegon has already taken over Dragonstone, so he's got to be there before she does. So, and then could it be that she hears her husband is making a return and doesn't want to become queen again?
She doesn't hear. She knows that he's going to become Husborough. I mean, she knows that he's going to come. She literally says he's going to sit again.
That could make a little sense because she's kind of saying, I don't want to be queen. I was happier before I was queen.
Yes.
There could be something there.
But will that make her kill herself? Because she doesn't want to be queen? And she knows he's gonna hit the throne again? She said it to Aemon.
Doesn't Adam marry Aegon III's daughter? No, Adam dies. Adam dies. In Deep Geek made an interesting video about Vermithor and why he's so angry. Okay. There's not a reason. He's an angry dragon. But sure.
I think that's just a callback to when I was saying that Vermithor, his personality is probably just angry dragon because he's flying riderless.
Bronze Fury.
Bronze Fury.
Yeah. It's not. Okay. Do you think the show will end with Viserys' return or the end of the Regency? We got that. Okay, yeah, I got all these. And that one, you're on warning, Yuri. I did not like those comments. I almost banned you, I will just say. Watch your language, please. Watch your language, please. Putting it into super chat doesn't mean I have to read it, okay?
Ooh.
If it's inappropriate.
Yeah. People think that you have to. If it's a super chat and you don't. You don't.
Like, no.
But I just want to give you extra props, Dave, comedy props for Adventures of Clubfoot and Egg.
That is a Maynard Plum. Can't take credit for it.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Maynard Plum strikes again.
Good job.
Yeah. He's low-key funny. He'll get you when you're not suspecting it. So Daron the Daring, blank slate. I didn't write anything for him. we talked about this. He's going to be basically with the Hightower army. He performs admirably in Battle of the Honeywine, although he does do some pillaging and burning at Tumbleton. He commits some atrocities and then ends up dying. He's burned in the tent, right? Like he dies inside the tent. He can't even get to his dragon when Adam shows up. Like he gets burned in his tent or something like that.
That's right. So Tessie is riderless too.
Yeah.
You could have sworn
wasn't
Daeron
like-
condemns the actions at Tumbleton. I
Huh?
don't think he participates in the atrocities.
No, he's talking about second Tumbleton. No, Daeron does burn some. He does burn. That's how
He
he
burns
becomes.
things, but I don't think he loots and pillages.
He takes revenge on a town after Maelor. He does commit war crimes.
That's how he becomes Daeron the Brave, right? Or the
No,
Daring.
he becomes Daeron the Daring for rescuing them at the Honeywine. It's later
Honeywine. Oh yeah,
that
yeah.
he commits war
That's what
crimes.
Yeah. Okay,
Let's see it.
it's a lot, guys. A lot of battles.
My bird is misbehaving as much as the two of y'all. This is crazy. I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding.
I'm an angel. I've never done anything
You're
wrong
not
in my life.
okay. This is
Ever.
fake
I know
news.
this, and I love you.
Don't blame me for Tim's behavior.
Well, Westeros.org is not working right now, so I can't.
I'm not apologizing.
No, I love you, Tim.
I stand by everything I ever said or did.
We wouldn't have it any other way. So I cannot read to you the specific war crimes, but he does commit war crimes, and he's mad about it's after Maelor. It's Bitterbridge. It's after Maelor. He
I
takes
thought
revenge on the town.
It's been so long. I thought he stayed a sweet little cinnamon roll the entire time. All right. Well, at least the Bitterbridge thing is kind of understandable.
You got a lot of middle guy support here in the chat. This is good. We like to see it. Team middle guy.
I'm team middle guy too.
Here it comes. Oh, there's now the webpage is responding.
Oh, there you go. I'm most
And-
interested to see Daeron's personality. Is it going to be exactly as Gwaine described? Are we going to see Robb Stark again? Just perfect man? Or was Gwaine wrong about Daeron, personality-wise?
Oh my God, how many pop-up ads do you need, Westeros.org?
The AI doesn't pay for itself, Dave.
Those George Martin contracts pay a fair amount of money, though. Do they really need to put 5 pop-up ads on their website? Like, dude, you're getting the fire and blood money. Come on.
It's Elio and Linda.
Love-hate relationship with those guys. Anyway. Let's
He's
see.
the wiki.
Caltrops.
Get it, drops.
Where is it? You guys talk or something while I'm looking this up.
Tim, what do you think about Daeron's personality? Do you think he's going to be like Gwaine described, he's perfect, or do you think he's going to be the opposite?
I
Because
mean,
sometimes people can trick you and make you think that they're good, but inside you're rotten.
Nobody's perfect. We just established that he burned that he did commit war crimes when I thought he condemned them.
But not yet. When we first
Not
see him,
yet.
he wouldn't have done anything yet. We're just going to see him.
I would very much like for what Gwaine said to be true, for Daeron to show up, be this sweet, nice young kid, and for it to be, and Allison have to realize, and it had absolutely nothing to do with you. This kid is great, and it's because you never raised him.
So, because his nephew, Prince Maelor, had died at Bitterbridge, Daeron refused to be merciful to Lady Caswell. Daeron had Tessarion burn the town during the sack of Bitterbridge. And Lady Caswell, that is...
A house loyal to Rhaenyra, right?
Yeah, are they the Lords of Bitterbridge, or is that an adjacent town? I guess it must be Bitterbridge, yeah. Okay. So there you go. Burned a town. That's a war crime.
Yep.
And he did it in rage. It wasn't like a strategic thing. So it was punishment. So
Allison's
that's it.
child.
And then, so his death, there is confusion about it. Some people, there's different claims. Some say he was cut down by Black Trombo with the Morning Star while stumbling out of his tent with his clothes on. Other people say that he was burned in the tent. And these are sea smokes attacks setting things on fire.
Oh, someone just said people spoke well of young Griff, and we see that he's a little shh.
Good point. Yep. Indeed. So they could scrub that out and just make him a good kid that dies. The story could use another person that's not horrible. So maybe we'll see that, or maybe we'll see him appear to be like a good kid, and then we'll see that he loses it in the middle of battle with a little bit of bloodlust and the dragon, and we're like, yeah, it's that dragon stuff, man. It's tempting.
Or Tessie. What if Tessie does it? Tessie takes control. She's like, no. He's like, no, obey me.
Maybe. I don't know
never
about
get
burning
tired
the
of
whole
seeing
town
that.
by accident.
Hey, Daenerys did it by accident. That was not her. It was an accident. Accidents happen, Dave.
It was Bran Ward
Bran
Drogon.
Ward, Drogon.
Yes. Okay. Definitely
She-
not Dany's fault.
She was framed.
She was like, no, the whole time. That's why she had that horrible look on her face. Yeah. Okay.
Drogon, stop.
All right. So that's it. We're at the end of the characters here. So last call for questions. This has been 3 hours. This has been spicy. This has been
We
full
did
of
it,
spice.
guys.
Full spice.
It's probably been the most chaotic stream we've ever done.
Chat, are you satisfied? I think we've finally given you the climax you've been waiting for now 10 weeks since the show started. We couldn't talk about spoilers like this. This is the conversation I know some of you guys were waiting to have. Hope you're satisfied. I am. I always rewatch these as like a viewer that's never seen it before, and I already feel the I do. I already feel the satisfaction I'm gonna feel when I rewatch it.
You're time traveling the satisfaction. You're tasting it in the future based on what we're doing. That's good. I like that.
Yeah, advanced stuff.
Ewan asks, with Daemon's time at Harrenhal, do you think he could survive the fall of the God's Eye and become the three-eyed raven on the Isle of Faces? An innocent enough question. So I will refer you to Gray Area's YouTube channel and also Tim's YouTube channel. They have videos on the topic. Tim has a character comparison between Bloodraven and Daemon. And Nettles Gray Area has the exact theory that you are looking for on her channel. It does involve Nettles, but just go there and check it out. So Gray Area is a supporter of this being true in the books. I am viciously opposed to Daemon being a green seer in the books. However, on the show, it definitely seems like they could be doing that. So who knows?
On the show, they say he dies. So how does he become the three-eyed raven if he's at the if he sees himself at the bottom of the river going like this?
Because Sir Nunos is going to fish him out before he dies and breathe. He's going to give
Drown man, the drowned god.
He's going to undrown
How
him.
many religions? Daemon is fire god, earth god.
He's a deep one,
and drowned
Sir Nuno
god.
seer with dragon dreams. I don't know.
Trifecta of religions.
No, to your point though, it really does seem like they are foreshadowing that he actually does die, but
He dies in the show, not in the books. In the books, he's with me. In the books, he ran away with Nettles. He did. Don't laugh. In the books, he ran away with Nettles.
don't laugh.
Nettles saved him last minute. Only Aemon died. Caraxes did die though, but in the show, he's dead.
And we could see more Bloodraven potentially because if that's the same one they cast for Duncan Egg, they'll be using him for that. So that could be a thing. We don't know that though.
Yeah. For you to believe this, Tim, that means you're saying that Daemon is left alive in the books. I mean, Daemon is left alive in the show.
Mm-hmm.
And which would be a change from the book, I guess.
Yes, Kernunos. I had a bad habit of saying Sir Nunos for a long time. It's hard to break. Cornunos, like kernel of corn.
Cornunos. I'll say whatever I want. But Tim,
No, I said it wrong.
Yeah, to say that Daemon needs to be left alive, it's splitting the hair on how alive do we really think that Bloodraven is. But I like Gray's theory. I support her theory. I say if you want to know more about that, you need to go check out Gray Area's videos. And then on my channel, I did a comparison of doing parallels between Daemon Targaryen and Bloodraven because they actually have quite a lot in common, and that was giving Gray Area more ammo. And then I'm also Gray Area has invited me to be on Direwolf City. They're doing Duncan egg preparation now. They're talking about Aegon IV and the Great Bastards. They invited me on to be on their when they get to do their Bloodraven episode. So we'll probably talk more about the date. No, with me and Gray talking one-on-one. Well, not one-on-one because I, Zebra, and Toast Not Alice will be there. But with me having the chance to actually talk to Gray Area about this, I'm sure the Daemon stuff will come up.
And just to be clear, I reserve the space for myself to disagree with the theory and still be in like immense awe of a creator. I love Gray Area. We've collaborated before. A lot of her videos have inspired me to new ideas, specifically her Inaluki, Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn stuff. So when I recommend the video, I'm basically saying I'm not the one to try to explain the theory because to me, I don't see it coming together. But Gray Area, who is a great theorist and makes great videos, very much does see it coming together. So that's where to go. And it's a popular video and it's well presented. So check it out because like I'm just one guy and just because I don't like a theory doesn't mean shit. It could still be really good and it could be right and I could be wrong because I probably am wrong about stuff. So there you go. I just, like to disagree with things because I'm old and it's what I do. I don't know.
Yeah.
She's alive till Aegon returns. Then he does it. Oh, no, Aegon's not going to kill Helaena. Doesn't make any sense. Come on.
Someone's got to do it. That's funny.
Someone does have to do it, but sick of all your bugs. Well, that's the answer to your question, Nettles. If there's one character I would find a way to spare, it's Helaena, but I don't know how I would do that.
Run away. It's easy. The same way they did Lornor. You see her on a boat and then you never see her again. There you go.
Any plot beats you expected in season 2 that can still be fit into season 3? Yeah, Nettles. That's why.
Let me rest in books. Leave me alone. Don't be.
I'm keeping that torch alive. I'll make like 3 videos by the time next season comes around. I'll have like all these Nettles videos.
I love my place in the books.
Battle of the Gullet. We were supposed to get it. That should have been our season finale, but executive meddling.
We'll see.
I'm not even saying that they were planning on putting her in previously. I don't know what they were planning and how many times the not fat man has changed his plan. Ryan Condal's pretty average. That's the Illyrio line, the fat man changing his plans. But at this point, they can still fix it no matter what they were going to do. So
they can. They have 2 years.
Okay. The bleeding comet will off Helaena.
Oh no.
Low flyby. She like just stares into it. She's like, okay. All right, guys. Thank you. It's been a stream. And thank you, Nettles. Thank you, Tim. Subscribe to these guys, their channels. Grey Waste Tim and Girl Nettles. And that's it. I'll see you next Sunday. Not even sure what we're streaming about next Sunday. Could be Ice and Fire. Could be Fire and Blood reread. Thinking about that. I don't know if you guys are interested in reading the next sections of Fire and Blood that will be adapted. Something
always. If you just want to straight up read Fire and Blood, I'd be down for that.
Okay.
Just anything you do will be here.
I've discussed a few different plans with Maynard. We haven't decided yet, so we'll see. I'm working on editing the Great Empire of the Dawn Iceberg, so I hope to have that out this week. There's a lot of dead time in there, so I'm chopping that thing down and put some more pictures in it, so it's a little more streamlined. People seem to like it when I do that with the iceberg, so that's coming. And just finishing off probably going to be like an hour-long John Azor High video script. Of course, I just did the Danny one, so the John one is, I'm feeling it. It's got weight. It's bulky. It's coming at you. So,
Can I commission you to do a Tyrion Azor Ahai? To do all 3 Azor Ahai?
So I used to be a believer in Tyrion Targaryen, and I don't know that I disbelieve, but I don't think he's going to be one of the 3 heads of the dragon. I think I'm pretty fixed on Euron as the 3rd one.
My little heart. So, okay. You're not going to do a Euron Azor Ahai, are you?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay. The trifecta. There you go.
That's it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You got it.
I think Tyrion could be a Targaryen, and I think he might even ride a dragon accidentally for a hot second somehow. But I don't think he'll be one of the heads of the dragon, and I don't think he will bond with a dragon. I think he'll accidentally, end up on it for a dragon ride somehow, some harebrained way, because I think George wants to give it to him, but I don't think he's going to be a dragon rider.
It'd be too wish fulfilling.
I mean, other people can ride dragons. There can be passengers. We know that.
Like he's fitting the saddle on, and then the dragon takes off somehow, and he has to hang on for dear life, or he's on the back of Danny's dragon for a ride, or just something like that, But we'll see. I think he gets a ride, but not to bond with the dragon.
Or he gets carted off to another continent and comes back with fireworms that crawl out of him.
No, please.
No. All right, so that's what's coming from me. Tim, you got anything you want to tease people with?
Yeah. So my schedule is very hit or miss because I work a real job, but I am working on the Daemon growth redemption Macbeth, where I want to really go real deep into this whole Macbeth thing. And then in 2 weeks, August 31st, that is my birthday. And my birthday falls on a Saturday this year. I have no plans. Apparently, from what my brother tells me, my nephew, who is 6 months old, his schedule is booked. I have to make an appointment to see my own nephew. And I'm like, that kid he's 6 months old and he has more friends and more money than most people. So anyway, I wanted to go to the Ren Fair, but that's Labor Day weekend. And
Tim's evil uncle arc is already starting. This is.
But anyway,
kid's got more money than me. I have to work a real job. It's not like those YouTubers.
I gave him the money. Anyway, the point is, got to try another weekend to take him to the Ren Fair. But my birthday, since I have no plans, I'm going to do a stream where we're going to do another Mythos and A Song of Ice and Fire, where we're just going to straight up read and discuss some short stories that have had an effect on A Song of Ice and Fire. I want to do one Poe story. I want to do one Lovecraft story, one Robert E. Howard story, and one Robert Bloch story. I am going to have to put out a poll, though, because when it comes to the Robert E. Howard, I'm not sure if I should read The Black Stone, which is obvious, the effect it had, or if I should go with a Conan tale, because that's what Robert E. Howard is famous for. That'd be too many stories. I'd lose my voice trying to read another one.
Oh, you left your nephew's father at the mall, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Why did you do this?
That's why you have to get on the schedule. The schedule exists only for you, Tim. Nobody else needs a schedule. They're just trying to keep the kids safe away from you.
Everyone who's saying both, you're already getting 3 other stories.
So what?
You're getting 4, we're not doing 5. I'm just gonna put.
So what?
I guess I'll make it a Twitter poll. If people want the Black Stone, or if they want a Conan, or if they want a Conan.
Tim, they only want stories about you trying to babysit. That's the entertainment here.
But I do want to say we will be reading Fane of the Black Pharaoh by Robert Bloch. Dave, I think you'd be very interested in that one, because that's a story where when I read it, I don't think George just took inspiration from it. There are points where I really think George just straight up plagiarized from it. And if you listen to it, you'll immediately catch on to what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I'm down. So you got lots of stuff coming up, and you have a birthday stream on Saturday. Is that next week?
No, 2 weeks, the 31st.
weeks. So we'll make sure to all come to Tim's birthday stream, right, guys? And then make sure you're subscribed so you can catch all of his 5 or 6 contents that he's going to make, or however many. He's retiring after that. That's it. Just 5 or 6 more, and then he's done.
Final tour.
And
No,
Nettles, are you doing some Saturday live stream stuff too?
Yeah, I'll do debates, and I'll be dropping some more consistent videos because I like this so much, and I'm having good experiences thanks to you, Dave, and like being on here and how nice everyone is in the chat and stuff. So I'm gonna be putting out more videos. So look out for them.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'll come back on and argue. I obviously
Yeah.
sometimes can be argumentative, so
Yeah. Yeah. I actually have you booked as a debater and as a judge. So people in the chat, you'll get to see both sides of Dave whenever we get those scheduled. But yeah.
better watch out for me with the gavel. That could be trouble.
It happens. That's life.
Middle guy is 5 videos away from retirement. This middle guy stuff has got legs. This is never going away. Yeah, Nettles' live debates are great fun. Once you start watching one, you will get hooked. And it's the most fun to join live. So make sure you are subscribed to her channel so you get the notifications when she does that. And that's it. I'll see you later. See you next week. More content coming your way. Been a beautiful audience. I am left-hand guy. She's been right-hand girl. And that's Tim in the middle. So catch you next time.
7 blessings to you.